Welcome back to the Bourbon and BS podcast, everyone. Happy Whiskey Wednesday. We've got Tyler Jones here.
Oh, I was about to say, are we live? Or are you just dropping that out?
We're live. We got Tyler Jones from Espinosa Cigars. Been on the show several times. Happy to have him back.
Thank you for having me, Stephen.
Absolutely.
It's good to see you again as well.
You always call everybody by their first full name.
Every time, baby.
It's very formal.
Yep.
Very formal. Before we get into this, I do want to thank you guys out there, our sponsors, starting with all the Patreon members, patreon.com/bourbon and BS podcast. You guys have helped us out tremendously, including we are broadcasting now from a new computer, which we appreciate the support to make that possible. The old one was on its last legs, and hopefully you guys have a good viewing experience tonight with this. Cross your fingers, knock on wood.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. And
I'm
also,
right now,
that's fine. That's good. And I encourage you guys to do the same. We also want to thank everyone that's done a Venmo one-time contribution. If you guys want to help out with that computer, let us know by shooting us a Venmo at Bourbon and BS. But most importantly, definitely share, do what Tyler's doing. Share it to your groups, share it to people, share it on your page. If you guys want to get more people live with us every Wednesday, and if they can't get on here Wednesday evenings, definitely check out the audio side of things, where it's going to be on iTunes, Spotify, and everything else, iHeartRadio, all that good stuff. And I also want to thank our sponsors as well, Tinderbox at Easton.
Shout out.
In Columbus, Ohio. We're going to do that the whole night?
A little bit, probably.
All right, good. Very good. Very neat. Tinderbox at Easton in Columbus, Ohio. The featured cigar tonight is actually by way of Espinosa Cigars, by way of Tinderbox at Easton.
Grab the wrong corner of the shirt.
It's all right. It's backwards on the screen. It's confusing.
It's very confusing.
It's fine. You'll never be a weatherman. We're smoking the Knuckle Sandwich Connecticut. Also want to thank Altadis USA, usually going to be our second cigar of the night. Tonight we have another Espinosa cigar that we featured on the show before, which is the Murcielago. Thank you to Espinosa Cigars and Tyler Jones for that.
It's an old classic, bro. You got to go back to the classic.
Absolutely.
Go back to the bangers.
Absolutely. Always. Greatest hits album.
Yep.
And I also want to thank BS Cigar Company. Just recently, the silver is back. We've got
back
6x46 size. We have the 6x54 and also the 6x60 limited edition, 5 only cigars. 500.
Oh. I was about to say, I smoked one of the 5.
Shit, the 5 are gone.
I was going to be upset. You know,
a 660 silver.
That's right.
Wow. Dude, it's
limited
fire,
edition.
Bro.
It is very good. I'm not either.
That was a great idea to do a 6x60, by the way.
I agree.
I'll give you your flowers for that.
Yeah.
That was
whose ever idea that was.
That was banging, bro. I mean, that cigar actually smoked really well.
That's right.
It really works.
It was my idea to make it limited edition. Let's go with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Might have to bring it back. Who knows?
Maybe might have to run it back.
Be a big hit.
Yeah, I think it will.
It did seem like it was smaller for whatever reason than that 6.5 by 58. That's what it was, right?
Yeah. The normal size is 6.5 by 58. We did 6x60 for a small run here. We'll listen to feedback, I guess. Yeah. We'll have to. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know why. It just did seem like it was a little bit more
smoked well.
It smoked very well.
I also want to, for you guys out there, I am sporting an Espinosa shirt here. This is the old school. Speaking of that, so you can see that. That's Alpha Dog right there.
Oh, yeah. Boss man right there.
Another limited shirt there. But Nate's sporting. Yeah, you weren't with the company when this came out. It's like 2015 or 16.
We got rid of that cigar back.
I still get compliments on the shirt though. So
shirt.
He's got the focus on the silver lining, the red and gray here.
I have that same shirt.
It's the BS. That's available on buyjack.com/bourbon and BS if you guys want to check that out. There's also some great swag on there, like a hoodie.
This is the closest thing I have to an Espinosa shirt.
That's fair.
Since
really?
You guys make the silver, so
that's fair. That's right.
You don't have any like 601 or anything like that, Gary?
Nope. Someone's got a mission. Make that happen.
Kind of fucking friend and rep have I been? Jesus.
Yeah.
Call myself out.
Do you want me to answer that?
Well, that was pretty open-ended, I will say, but I can appreciate if you just back me up for once. But, that'll work.
Anyway, you can see I love that one, the 601 sign behind Nate there. That's badass right there. So you should. Definitely, guys, participate. Any questions you may have in this, we'd love to hear from you. And we're going to get started, though, with the cigar here. The featured cigar is the Knuckle Sandwich Connecticut. We have featured the other two, right? The Maduro and the Habano, or just the
we did the actual, We smoked both of them on here.
That night we smoked both. I think. Yeah.
But we kind of focused more on the Habano,
Mhm.
and then I believe after that you were like, we should do one just on the Maduro. And I guess we haven't done since that was like July. So
We'll have to get Guy on for that one.
yeah, maybe. Maybe.
Yeah.
But
You want to
I would
redeem
be
yourself
happy.
for being a rep and friend. There's your cheat sheet.
There's my info.
Make it happen.
There's your homework.
Right.
All right. So we're smoking the Knuckle Sandwich, Connecticut. This
Yes,
is
sir.
what, Tyler? Express to everyone what this is.
So this is.
And I'm going to share this too.
The Knuckle Sandwich Connecticut is the newest regular production line that we've added to the Knuckle Sandwich portfolio. If you don't know, this is the project we are 50-50 partners with Chef Guy Fieri. Very well known for Dyers, Drive-Ins, and Dies, Guy's Grocery Games, his Tournament of Champions shows on Food Network. Pretty much revolutionized the Food Network channel as a whole and built it to what it is today. I think that's very fair to say.
Yeah.
Him and probably Alton Brown. Give some credit to Alton Brown out there. Shout out to him.
Shout out.
But no, we started this project a little over a year ago, February of last year. We released the Habano and the Maduro, 3 sizes, regular production, and it took the cigar industry by storm. It really did. This is the craziest project as a company we've ever been a part of, and most successful for sure. And it's a big, part to Guy doing his part and, being a great ambassador for the line and the brand. And if you see him post on social media anymore, he's got the cigar hanging out of his mouth all the time, which
he really
I've been
does.
around him a couple times, like 3 times I've been around the guy, 4 times I've been around the guy. That dude I've never seen him without a cigar in his mouth every time. So that guy's.
And that wasn't really the case beforehand, if I recall. He did smoke cigars, obviously,
he smoked cigars, but he wasn't like posting on social media.
Wasn't wearing the swag, obviously. Yeah.
But when you start a brand and a company,
I love it.
For it, you got to support the shit. So.
Yeah, I think there was one last year. He was at a Raiders game, like walking on the sideline.
Yeah,
Eric was behind him.
Right, they were just getting done with the Cigar Aficionado Big Smoke, and Guy was there for that. If you happen to be out there in Las Vegas, Nevada,
I thought the funniest part of that though was you see him in this brief clip, like he puts the cigar in his mouth. And then, like a second later, he just takes it right back out. Like, he's like, oh.
So like, he probably was actually smoking it, and he's probably like, damn, I'm gonna build.
Can't smoke out here, right? Yeah.
But he was caught on the NFL's social media. Like he went on their Instagram story that Pat McAfee shared it. It blew up. And Erik Espinosa was in the background wearing a Cigar Aficionado hat.
Yeah.
Wearing a Raiders hoodie, which that should question his Dolphin.
He definitely got
right
some
there.
shit for that.
Yeah, that shit. I don't understand that move, but hey, he's the boss man. He wants. But no. So going back to the cigar, we released this at the beginning of 2023. The Knuckle Sandwich Connecticut, 3 sizes: Robusto 5x52, Toro 6x54, and then one size that is the only size that's box press, which is the 6.5x48 short Churchill. And we're smoking the 6x54 round Toro right now. And this thing has been received arguably just as well as the Habano and Maduro. So another smashing hit for us. We're just putting out bangers. I mean, especially with this line, we had the limited edition Chef Special come out at the trade show last year. Didn't ship probably till the fall. And that's been a huge success. 6.5x52 box press Figurado. And we also had the Knuckle Sandwich 55, the rare and elusive Knuckle Sandwich 55 that I get asked about everywhere I go still to this day, even though we did 555 boxes and 55 of them went to Guy Fieri and the 500 went dispersed around the United States. And I believe Tinderbox Easton was very fortunate to go get some of those boxes, correct?
So which one?
The 55.
Yeah.
I
smoked,
and those
they went quick.
I smoked the first one out of the box because I asked Brian if I could. And then sure enough, like the next week, they're all gone.
Yeah. I mean, that thing.
Thanks, Nate.
Yeah. I mean, that cigar went every shop that, I believe only 8 shops in my territory actually got that cigar. And they most of them sold out in a day or 2 days. I mean, the allocation wasn't huge for it because it was so limited, but I mean, still, that cigar just vanished.
I don't even
as
think,
fast as it came out.
I don't even think we put it in a bin on the shelf. I think we just kept it in the
That's
back.
correct. Yeah, that's
we
correct.
just kept it in
Probably.
the back
I mean,
and just told people about it.
Yeah.
And guys that we thought might like that cigar were like, "Oh, let me go get you something."
That had a Mexican San Andres wrapper. It was a 5.5x55 oval press.
Yep.
Our first project that we've used the oval press from AJ.
Very toothy.
Yeah, that San Andres wrapper was gorgeous on that thing. And I think it was a heavy hitter, but That thing was awesome. And now we have the Connecticut, which Ecuador Connecticut wrapper, Nicaragua binder and fillers. And this one, just like the other ones, are proudly made at the San Latano factory by our friend AJ Fernandez. So
probably safe to say that the Knuckle Sandwich line has been the most successful celebrity branded cigar.
Already, I think that is a fair statement to make. And it's been a little over a year.
It's been a huge success just for Espinosa Cigars too.
Oh, for sure.
The launch itself has been, I don't know if it's the best you've had, but it's getting up there. It's got to be.
So at that point, I mean, I think I was with the company for 2 years by the time we came out with this project. And we were already like we were yodely, flying, growing really well at a good rate.
For the audio listeners again, what was that?
We were growing at a great rate,
like
at a good solid rate.
The Price is Right game.
Yeah, that's what I was picturing.
Yodel, that thing.
Actually,
sure
for the audio listeners, don't do that again, please.
But we were
the video.
The moral of the story is that we were growing at a good rate at that point.
You were, yeah.
And then we came out with Knuckle Sandwich, and it took us to another level. And we are blessed for it and thankful for it. And thanks to everybody that supports the brand and truly does the Espinosa every day kind of lifestyle that we appreciate and definitely support. So it's awesome.
Yeah. Erik's obviously, he's been on the show before. We are like good friends with Tinderbox at Easton, always a big supporter, always a good time. He's good people. And to put out a project like this, it's really neat to see because it's always a gamble, right?
Oh, for
Doing the celebrity thing, the Knuckle Sandwich. What's cool about this is that it's a little more subtle, right? So it's up to you guys to sell. It's up to the retailers to sell. If you go into a cigar shop, if you want to lift up the box, Tyler, there you go. And then so it's got the logo on there, which is a logo that is kind of adapted from Guy Fieri's logo that he had for this brand, if I'm not mistaken. And then you have the E in there. Is this all new?
Yeah, the E is pretty much like the only thing we've kind of added.
You added in there.
The bottom portion,
I
believe. But the whole Knuckle Sandwich brand logo is something that Guy actually had over the over his career in the restaurant business. He started.
Take that away.
I believe he started when he started doing like his TV stuff. He had a bunch of restaurant business that he was doing with business partners, and he wanted to keep his business partners' money or his TV money away from those guys. So he started a separate LLC called Knuckle Sandwich LLC, I believe. And then he always put the logo on shirts and stuff like that, but really didn't have like an entity that he had that logo on. And when we were starting the cigar brand, we were like, dude, I got a great branding idea for it. And so we just ran with it. We're like, sure.
Well, and the band's gorgeous.
I think we knocked it out of the park with it. I mean, it pops, especially on the Connecticut wrapper that we use.
It does look nice on the
gold. The gold trim on it just pops with that golden leaf.
Yeah, and then you have the white box for the Connecticut. You have then it's confusing part with the other ones, the red and the black, right? So the red is the Maduro.
Correct. Or no, red is Habano.
But there's a.
The red is the Habano, the black box is the Maduro. But the foot band...
I think you're wrong.
No. The foot band on the Maduro is red, and then the foot band on the Habano is black.
Yeah, it's confusing.
I mean, it's a box and a ribbon on the bottom.
But it doesn't say Maduro or Habano on the box.
That's good. That might be a good
So when I go back in the bag, I'm like, let me grab you one. God damn it. And I shut the box. All right, it's the other one. But I do want to kind of mention on the bottom of the box, this is something that not everyone sees. And I'm sorry I can't zoom in, but it actually says made in Flavortown.
Right.
Where normally there's a kind of description of what factory it comes out of and everything like that.
Country of origin. All that
sure.
Stuff. Which I mean, it might have to be on the bottom of the box or something like that.
I don't think so. It is right there, Flavortown.
Yeah, it's made in Flavortown.
Duh.
San Latano, Flavortown. Yeah, I guess.
No, it was cool. It's a cool project. What's the blend again on this?
So Ecuador Connecticut wrapper, so your typical Connecticut shade. No one uses, for the most part, no one really uses American Connecticut wrappers anymore. Very few companies do. Everybody's pretty much transitioned to Ecuador, which I believe is the superior wrapper, just my personal opinion. But we use that in really nice, beautiful Connecticut wrapper from Ecuador, and then Nicaragua binder and fillers.
Looking Connecticut
it's
wrapper.
It's like gorgeous, velvety. Yes, yeah. Super velvety.
So, yeah. And I'm sorry. Beyond that, what's the binder and filler?
All Nicaragua.
All Nicaraguan.
Yeah.
That's all we know about it.
That's all we know.
That's all it's disclosed.
That's all we tell people.
Fair point. Yeah, this one, it's
you got to keep stuff close to the chest.
All right.
You know? The Colonel never revealed his, what does Erik say? His 11
spices,
secret herbs and spices.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so.
Someone knows it.
Someone knows it. The Colonel did. You know he was from Indiana originally?
Don't care.
Yeah, not even Kentucky. I just learned. I think I learned that last week. I learned that last week. Some guy was like, the Colonel. I don't know how it came up in conversation.
Probably after drinking.
I don't know. I don't
think
so.
Maybe.
I think I was on an account, so I wasn't drinking yet.
Okay.
To be fair, but I don't know. I don't know who told me that, but I think we were talking about KFC or something like that. And he was like, the Colonel's not even from Kentucky. I'm like,
when was the last time you had KFC? Now that goes for anyone.
A week ago.
Seriously?
Yeah.
That is surprising.
The drive-through at Long John Silver's wasn't working, so I wanted chicken.
Life on the road.
Life on the road, bro. Dude, you can't tell me
the Hush Puppies. Long Johns through the drive-through.
The Hush Puppies at Long John Silver's are game changers.
Game changers in what way?
It's a very overlooked, fast food option. It really is.
It's breaded bread
and fried,
bro. It don't matter. It's good. It tastes good. And then their chickens, they're a place known for their fish, but their chicken's actually not bad.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty solid.
Because it's the batter and fried part of it that makes it taste all right.
Hey, they're doing something right. I'll say that.
So
I'm a fan.
Clearly. This is gonna be an interesting one.
This is gonna be good.
This is not your regular mild cigar, in my opinion.
No, it's straight medium. This doesn't even touch mild to me.
Nate, what do you think about this cigar? You've had it before, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I have.
Once or twice.
Yeah, I smoked my first one when they first came in the tinderbox at Easton. And then
seems to be a common trend with our stuff. He's always the first one to smoke them.
And then
we're almost out of it.
Nice. And then when I saw that Tyler was going to be on and we were going to smoke this cigar, I had one of these Toros at home, so I decided to smoke it with my afternoon coffee after I got done mowing the lawns and everything. So the thing that really stood out to me the first time I smoked it, because on the palate, it does come across like a mild to medium cigar. Love the texture of the tobacco, burns well. But the most surprising thing was the retrohale on this.
How so?
Because it's a mild cigar, but when you blow this out through the nose, there is a lot of spice. There's a lot of spice that I don't typically get on cigars that have this shade of an Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper.
It kind of stings the nostrils.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Like
beautiful.
Shout out to Ron
Burgundy. There's a gentleman that works at the Tinderbox that he typically likes mild to medium cigars.
What gentleman works at the Tinderbox?
Yeah, which gentleman are you speaking?
There's a guy at the Tinderbox. How about that?
It's better.
Okay,
it's better.
Are we not allowed to get specific with individuals at the Tinderbox?
You have to decide who that is between 6 people.
There is a okay. There is a
the newest employee,
short or tall.
There is a notoriously sick individual,
short,
that typically likes mild to medium cigars.
All right,
and they smoke this, and they're like, "Yeah, it's pretty good." And we're like, he goes, "Yeah, it's kind of mild." And we're like, "Yeah, blow it out through your nose." Both me and Lutzker were like, "Yeah, blow it through your nose." And he doesn't really retrohale. If he does, it's by accident.
Yeah.
And
then he was sick again.
Yeah, and he did it, and he started coughing. Thought he was gonna die.
Is there Ligero in this? Do you know? Do we know?
You'd have to ask Hector that.
Yeah, I'd be super curious to know what.
I mean, it tastes like there is.
It does. It has that. Like the Ligero. So everyone out there, Ligero is going to be towards the top of the plant. It's stronger leaves on a plant, so that's why I'm wondering if it
gets more of the sunshine. So it's
in.
A lot thicker tobacco. It's a lot more bold, peppery, kind of depending on where you're growing.
Right. So I'm wondering if that's kind of put in this blend, because it definitely has a kick to it.
It does.
It starts off mild, very smooth, has that what you're expecting, like this creaminess to it, and I feel like it really takes a turn,
right,
and gets to a little bit of a spice on that, kind of like that. Woody spice comes through midway on my tongue. Once it's like as you draw it in, it's smooth. As you
it's
exhale,
velvety.
Yeah,
it's velvety like the wrapper.
But as you exhale, by itself, I get a spice lingering on that, the woody spice
Yeah.
on there, and then like Nate, you described the retro very well, in my opinion. That has a nice. It's got that like pepper. It's got a little spice. It's got that kick to it. So I mean, it starts off real easy and approachable. Never gets unapproachable, in my opinion, but it gets it. That's where like a mild smoker might be like, "Are you sure this is mild?"
Right. Yeah. I can see that for sure. And if they want something a little bit more milder, that's when they go to like crema. Because I think crema is way more approachable.
Crema is another one of your guys' cigars.
Yeah, Espinosa crema. Yeah. Absolutely fantastic. If you find it in the box fresh Toro, go give that a whirl. Shout out to that size. But yeah, I mean, if you want something a little bit more mild and creamy and smooth, and not as spice, even though I think crema's got a good amount of spice, but I still find a lot of like Connecticut guys that enjoy that.
Yeah.
I think this is a Connecticut that opens the world up to traditional Connecticut smokers thinking, man, there might be something else out there than a mild Connecticut.
Yeah. Go ahead, Nate.
I think one of the issues, a lot of people that kind of pigeonhole themselves into mild, if like all they smoke is mild cigars. I think
for the record, there's nothing wrong with that. Please keep buying crema.
No. What I'm saying is there's a lot of them that I also, especially even more so with new cigar smokers, like they typically just smoke mild cigars. The biggest complaint they have is, it leaves a bad aftertaste because a lot of mild cigars are just so mild that
they're kind of bitter because of the Connecticut wrapper.
All
that
it
they
tastes
use on
like
it.
is bitter tobacco, or burnt tobacco. That's all you taste is burnt tobacco.
I think that's that Viso or like whatever the Dominican in filler, in my opinion.
Yeah, but with this being so much Nicaraguan tobacco underneath that Ecuadorian Connecticut, there's so much flavor going on that while this cigar looks like a mild cigar, like a Monte Cristo Classic or Yellow or White Series, or even an Ashen or some of the other ones that are out there, like, no, this has got a lot more going on to it because there's so much Nicaraguan tobacco.
And to be fair, like it has all those like tendencies of being a medium bodied cigar, but it's got so much body. And at the same time, in my mind, I can still process this cigar as like, yeah, it still has that Connecticut kind of connotation to it because it's velvety, it's elegant, it's sophisticated, it's got like a creaminess to it, but it just has that body to go with it, which I just don't think you see in a lot of blends on the market.
You don't. This is packed too, man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when I first smoked this blend, we got the Short Churchill box press.
Yep.
That's all you guys had available, if I'm not mistaken, as far
I think
as
you
what
actually got
shipping
shipped
out.
the wrong stuff. I think you just literally
I
just got
wasn't
shipped the
throwing you
wrong
on the
stuff.
bus,
But
but
you know,
that's
that stuff
Seems
happens.
to happen.
I love
right?
that.
It happens.
I love that
once in a
Make
while.
sure you check out the 6x60 BS Silver in limited quantities from Espinosa Cigars.
It's a banger, bro.
It is.
It's a banger.
Some mistakes work out.
Yeah, of course.
What I was saying is,
I was trying to give you credit for being a great
I was trying
idea.
to give you credit for not
Like, come on.
some of the wrong stuff.
I was fucking throwing you up a softball, and you're just like, oh, let me
But you can see
let me take a look at it.
on the ash that is packed.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm not saying it's bad. It is a little easier. You see, yours is a little different. Mine, I think it's a little full there as far as that goes with the construction, but it's still drawing well. What I was going to say about the Short Churchill being a box press, it was an easier draw than this one. I haven't smoked many of the Toros.
In my opinion, when you have a box press, it should almost be guaranteed a great flawless draw.
Mm-hmm.
I have a hard time with some cigars that are box press that draw like shit. I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's box press. It's underfilled on purpose. It's
Yeah. When you have a new cigar come out like this, so Tyler, your position is exactly what?
In what sense?
In the company, what do you do for Espinosa?
Well, I'm the Midwest sales manager for the company.
That entails
me, describing new products to retailers and, telling the new products to, consumers at shops or at events and stuff like that, tastings. But, so you asked me what I tell shops about, the cigar when it's new on the market.
What I was going to say is like your job is obviously you represent the portfolio. You have
Correct.
established accounts that were already established prior to taking over the territory.
Right.
You start new accounts. You visit some. You try to weed through some of the ones that you're like, hey,
deactivating old ones.
Sure.
Stuff like that. Yeah.
Doing damage control when needed, or just keeping the things going. Not everything is going to be, say, an A account that they carry one of everything that you guys carry.
Yeah.
I'm curious, like when something like this comes out, you're coming on the heels of the success of the Knuckle Sandwich Maduro and Habano.
Correct.
Now you hear the Knuckle Sandwich Connecticut's coming out.
So this was interesting. We we decided to ship this towards the end of last year and the beginning of this current year.
Yeah.
Which, if anyone knows, in the Midwest, the cigar business kind of slows down a little bit in that time period traditionally in our territory because, not many people, there's no one golfing during that time of the year.
Midwest is tough in that industry. Yeah,
for sure. And, there's no one's golfing, no one's smoking outside. And a lot of people do that. And usually for whatever reason, they stop doing it when it gets cold out. It's just like cigar smokers just go into hibernation almost in the Midwest. And they just don't smoke.
In a lounge or in a cigar shop like the Tinderbox at Easton, like people walk in, they're like, "Man, you guys are really busy." It's like, no, we seem busy because people are inside smoking.
Right,
they're not in and out. They're not
grabbing
a box, grabbing a handful to smoke at home on their patio or golfing or whatever.
Right. So this cigar came at an interesting time point where I'm like, at first I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, how many retailers are gonna want to bring in a whole new cigar line, in the slowest part of the time in our season, really, in the Midwest. So that was that struck me first, and then I started reaching out, and everybody wanted it. It was awesome, and we had limitations on what you could get at first because we had like a pre-sale, not a pre-sale. We had a small batch come in from the factory, and we're like, okay, we can distribute these out lightly to shops and stuff like that. Give people.
It went to Espinosa Lounges, key accounts, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, and then anything left over, we ended up,
sending it to Tinderbox, whatever the wrong ones, but
yeah, of course. And we and
was it a mistake to send us cigars in general, or the wrong size?
Huh?
Was it a mistake that you sent us?
No, you guys were getting it one way or the other. It was just wrong size. So, our bad. You still sold them, so I don't know what you're complaining about.
Just fucking with you.
And so
are you saying Tinderbox will not be getting the short Churchill this cigar anytime soon again? Because if so, that means I'm going to hold on to the.
Brian didn't order it.
We ordered more of the Toro for now.
Maybe we could revisit.
It's Toro season.
It is Toro season.
Yeah, spring in the Midwest is Toro season.
Yeah, for sure. I don't even know if I can call it spring right now. It's hot. It's humid and it's
80
hot.
degrees, man.
Yeah, it's. I was telling the shop earlier. I'm like, I was complaining about it being too cold, but now I'm almost at that point where I'm saying it's too humid. Too hot.
Don't do it. Just
but I didn't want to be that guy, which I just became that guy.
You just did.
I just did. So.
On live.
Or that guy
on national broadcast.
So there's twofold on this.
Worldwide.
This. Prestige worldwide.
Worldwide.
My question, with this one in general, you kind of are answering it. You get it at the wrong time of the year to launch.
Right. We get this in, and it's kind of like, okay, this is going to be a tough sell for not just because of the cigar itself, just because I don't know how many retailers are going to want to bring in new lines, make shelf space for something new during the slowest part of the slowest time of the year because not as many people are coming in and out of their shops. But that wasn't the case. We sold out of that that early shipment so fast.
Yeah. And
then we were just waiting for the rest of it. And luckily it came in the following month and everybody was happy with it. Everybody was selling out of it. And the thing just went gangbusters from there. And I think that's a testament just to how well, I think people at that point, retailers wanted, something else that was exciting in the market to bring people possibly into the door based on the success of Habano and Maduro. They were like, oh, this could be, if we post, that we got the new Knuckle Sandwich Connecticut, based on the success of the Habano and the Maduro last year and how everybody liked it, I think this will bring some of their guys back into the shop that, traditionally probably wouldn't have came in that time of the year. So I think from that aspect, that's what the retailer thought. And luckily it benefited us and the retailer because everybody's sold the cigar. So
follow-up question on that is,
I just talked really fast for
it's fine. You're excited. I like it.
I
like
excited.
the enthusiasm.
I love it.
Honestly.
It's just such a great cigar. I love it.
I love it. I want to smoke another one. I want to smoke 4 more. Yeah, let's go. The whole box. Let's go.
Let's do it.
Doing a Connecticut blend in this day and age in the market, obviously, it's super competitive. It's old, in my opinion, mostly it's an old iconic brand game. That's your competition,
right?
You're dealing with the Fuente, a lot of Dominican, right? Obviously, I think,
and even Nicaraguan, like Monte Cristo White Series.
Yeah, Monte Cristo, but those are the names: Monte Cristo, even Ashton, Fuente, Romeo Julieta, all those like
Matt Canuto.
Matt Canuto is the ultimate, mild cigar in a lot of ways. Whether you like it or not, it's just that's what it's known for.
Yeah,
but now then you have like Oliva Connecticut Reserve.
Yeah.
Then you have the Liga Undercrown Shade from Drew Estate. And you guys come in, you already tried it once with the the crema that you're talking about.
Right.
I don't know what the success of that one was or is, but
I mean, crema is one of our top selling SKUs.
that's awesome. You come out with this one now, you're like, am I going to cannibalize our own line with crema, or is this distinguished enough? I'm just curious what goes through your head. I mean, for people out there, some people listen to this that would love to have your job.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
I kind of want to get in the mind of, we don't have Erik here, we don't have Hector here from the company, right? But from your vantage point, the powers that be are like, hey, good news, guys, we got a new knuckle sandwich coming out. It's going to be a Connecticut blend.
Right.
You're excited about it. It's another thing to sell. Is it something that you're like, I got to sell another Connecticut? Like, am I going to be able to? Like, what? I guess I'm curious how that goes over in like a company meeting or announcement.
I mean, so I was like, so when we first had it announced that we were doing a Connecticut, I was like, okay, this is interesting because we do a good number of Connecticut's. You know, we unfortunately just got rid of one of them. But you know, we have our E-bundle Connecticut crema, Azucar, which is our vanilla sweet tip out of the Dominican Republic, and then this. And so I was like, oh my God, this is our fourth Connecticut in the portfolio. But this one's so different than crema that it had its place in the market.
Okay, good.
And especially when it came to like knuckle sandwich smokers. Because you gotta remember, a lot of people got introduced to Espinosa through Knuckle Sandwich. That's how successful the project was.
True, yeah.
So if you come out with a Connecticut, you give that breakfast option for the Knuckle Sandwich guy. Because maybe that Knuckle Sandwich guy wasn't necessarily an Espinosa guy, but he's a diehard Knuckle Sandwich dude, right? Or gal, right?
There's Chrissy on there.
Good to see you, my friend. Hopefully I can make it down to Simpsonville sometime
She says
soon.
Knuckle Sandwich Connecticut is the only Connecticut I smoke regularly.
And you know, that's in Chrissy's a testament to Espinosa. Like we're not Connecticut people either. Like,
Right.
We don't smoke Connecticut. I mean, outside of Jack, we're not really a Connecticut, company. We made crema for people that like Connecticut's, but it's something that we could smoke because it's a Connecticut done our style. This is just another Connecticut done our style. And for our kind of smokers. So like Chrissy at Espinosa Lounge, Simpsonville, Kentucky, she's a great testament to how successful this is.
Executive?
Yeah, executive.
There you go.
What did I say?
I think I might have said I was Espinosa Lounge.
Oh, okay. Yeah, executive cigars down there. And we this is just another Connecticut for our following and our passionate Espinosa guys and our knuckle sandwich guys that they can have in the morning. Because they probably aren't smoking, many Connecticut's in the morning, maybe, and maybe they were just looking for that right company to put out one. And then they're like, okay, Espinosa came out with Connecticut. I like what they're doing with the rest of the knuckle sandwich portfolio. Let me give this Connecticut a try. And now we gave them a breakfast cigar. So it really isn't cannibalizing much. I don't believe.
No, it was honest question. It was very,
I mean, at least
my
so
curiosity.
So far this year, I don't see my crema sales going down. So that's nice.
Well, and from, certain accounts, like the one, our sponsor Tinderbox, tried the crema a little bit, but really never ordered a whole lot. And
never really took off, which is fine. I mean, not everything's going to work everywhere.
Now there's been a repeat order a couple times of this blend.
Yeah.
So
seems to
that's
work.
kind of nice to see. I guess that was my question, is how does that,
and I think this is
from
deceiving
your market.
I think this is a Connecticut that transcends a lot of Connecticut's on the market. I can't name you another Connecticut that smokes like this.
No, not exactly like that.
Right. So I think that gives it its place, and that's what gives it its uniqueness, and I think that's why it's working more than maybe crema.
Yeah, and you're building off of that huge reception of the knuckle sandwich. You have that, that story that Erik Espinosa has told before about this, and he'll tell anyone, is that when Guy and he were talking and he said, I want to do a cigar with you, and Erik said no.
Right.
And he said, why? And he said, because people have tried that before. They want to do it as a pet project. They don't treat it like a pet project. They kind of like put a little bit of effort in there, and they just want their couple bucks on it. They don't promote it. It's kind of like, I got a cigar, and they feel cool about it being a celebrity.
Right. Yeah.
But to your point earlier in the show, Guy has featured this, been interviewed about this, mainstream media, cigar media. So not only is he hitting the cigar market,
he did that show with Chris Wallace. I mean, that dude's following is crazy, and he was talking about knuckle sandwich cigars on that.
Right.
I mean, and that's to everybody who followed. That's not even just cigar smokers saw that.
Yeah.
People all over the world saw that happened to be a fan of that program and stuff like that. So it's definitely an interesting. It's definitely an interesting ride being a part with this gentleman doing this cigar, because he's I can't tell you how many pictures from social media I shared of him at that Stagecoach Festival in California, that big country music festival or whatever that guy was at, and he had Knuckle Sandwich hanging out of his mouth the whole time. He's on stage with John Party as he gets invited to the Grand Ole Opry.
Yeah,
and he's got Santo Tequila in one hand, Knuckle Sandwich Cigars in the other hand. The guy knows. I mean, when he gets
guy knows or the guy knows.
Yeah, I mean he's a smart man, and when he really gets his hands on in a project, he is hands on in it, and he doesn't just sit back and let us do the work. He's involved in a lot of the aspects of the brand. And
where are these bands made? Is this Cigar Band, man?
Probably whoever makes the rest of our stuff, I would imagine.
Okay, it's a great band. It's a great band, and unfortunately, it is cursed with the Espinosa very secure
amount of glue
that makes you ruin the band every time. So those band collectors out there, you may be a little upset.
You might want to try sliding it off.
You might, yeah.
Or wait.
Hey, look at that! I could have done that.
Yeah. See? Why are you complaining?
I'm not complaining. I love the band. And if it is
mine earlier rip, but my Laranja band came off real nice and clean.
Yeah. If it is Cigar Band, man, shout out to Ricky. I love his stuff.
He does a great job for us.
Yeah, I was just talking to him today about a new project, actually, which I'm excited. Hopefully will come into fruition in a year.
The one we were talking about earlier?
That's right.
Oh, beautiful.
That's right.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Made progress in a couple hours.
Did
Haven't talked to Hector yet. He said he's going to call me this afternoon, so I don't know what
he's going to call you in the middle of the podcast.
I don't know what time zone he's in right now, but he's going to call me this afternoon. Now that it's 8:30 at night.
Eric's not going to call unless Tyler starts talking shit about beating him.
Listen, I don't know what.
Actually, I called him on that one.
I know.
That was true.
Called him on that one.
That was so great.
You guys are smoking this, yeah? Do you guys want to chime in, or you want to wait till the end there?
Yeah. What do you fellas think?
Our studio audience not prepared. They're just sitting there playing Angry Birds.
Which I am working on. We're gonna mess around with this going forward.
I know.
Try to get these guys on camera actually going forward here. Might be kind of cool.
Little double camera.
Got to clean up that part of the garage, make it a little more presentable rather.
You got to keep it real back here.
That's authentic right there.
I just want to clean the shit up, honestly. That's just going to be my motivation to clean up my garage. That TV needs to go downstairs.
Don't talk me.
Those boxes need to go. Dartboard's never been hung up, and yeah.
There's a dartboard back there.
Yeah,
you would never know. You would never know.
I can see it right here.
Is that what's in that box right there?
Darts on the ground.
So we need a little charcoal Weber grill. Shannon, go ahead.
Well, I usually don't smoke a lot of Connecticut wrappers, but usually they have a kind of like an earthy tone that doesn't really appeal to my palate. But this one doesn't have that. That has this really smooth taste to it, like a little, I don't want to say creamy, but it's kind of, I don't even know how to put it into words, honestly. It's just a very well-built cigar. It's got a great taste, great construction. I walked away from it for about 10 minutes and it was still.
What were you doing inside there?
We won't talk about what happened in there.
I think you need a new toilet, Steve.
But
it's a little engorged.
Proceed, sir.
It's a little
proceed.
But I came back after about 10 minutes and it was still lit. Just took a puff and kept on going. And it's been great. I like the band. I like the whole series out of Knuckle Sandwich so far. It's been really good.
Thank you.
So, yeah, that's what I got.
Thank you for that, Shannon.
I really enjoyed it. I like Shannon said, I enjoy every one of them I've ever had. I'm a big fan of this cigar and the brand. The Retro Hail, it's got some earthy tones, but there's other something there, and I can't really pinpoint, but it's unique. It's not. A lot of cigars have very similar taste when you retrohale. This one has a unique taste, and I can't freaking figure out what it is yet. But I love it. It's delicious, and it's nice to kind of switch up from, medium heavy to something on the. It's not light by any means. It's not like a Monte Cristo white.
Yeah, trust me. I just breathed in his smoke.
Yeah, you're
you're downwind.
Yeah, I'm downwind over here. Yeah,
you're selling it. You're selling it, man. No, I really enjoy it. Like I said, I love the whole line of them. So yeah, this one's really good.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I say that like I blended it or something.
You represent it. You're doing
I represent
your
it.
job.
I do represent it. So that's true.
It's your
That is
job
true.
to sell it.
I feel weird saying that sometimes. Like, thank you. Like, it's like I didn't blend it or anything, but I'm part of the family. So.
You convinced the owner of Cigar Shop to buy it and bring it in. So that's how some of these gentlemen have been able to smoke it.
That's your
You
point.
can just say,
That's a good point.
thank you. I'll pass that along.
Maybe that's what I'll start doing. That's
Yeah.
a good idea.
Sounds way more professional.
It's like when someone says, do you like, oh, tell you a really nice smile. Do you say thank you? What'd you do for it? Nothing. Your parents did it all.
That's true. Yeah.
You should thank them. I'll pass it along to my mom and dad.
They don't need any more credit than they get. I give them way too much credit as it
Wow. All right.
is. Shout out.
That's not a shout out. That's the opposite of a shout out.
Yeah, no, it was cool. Actually, I got a cool story with this cigar. So I was hanging out in Indianapolis. I live in downtown Indy, and I'm hanging out at it was Combine Week, right?
Mhm.
And I'm sitting upstairs where I usually sit, and there's just like NFL people all over the place, right? And a buddy of mine, he played football down at IU. He goes, "Hi, I wanted to introduce you to someone." And there's like a group of guys right there. One of the guys was Joe Hayden, which was super cool, dude. Watched him growing up when he was with the Browns, and and he finished in Pittsburgh, which I was a really big fan of. And then it was Kenny Moore, who's a really, really good standout defensive back for the Colts, and Julian Blackman, who's a younger defensive back who I'm a big fan of as well.
Nice.
And they start talking. He tells them, I sell cigars, stuff like that. And then Julian Blackman comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, bro," he's like, "Can you help me out?" He's like, "I want to smoke my first cigar." So I was like, "Okay, cool, beautiful." And honestly, I didn't second guess it. I went straight for a Knuckle Sandwich, Connecticut. And I'm like, "Dude, smoke this."
Yeah. So you have something.
And so he smoked it. And he goes, "Dude, this is like a game changer, bro. I love this thing." And it was a really cool story. I thought, he gave, I hooked him up with that. And his first cigar experience was Knuckle Sandwich Connecticut, and he absolutely loved it.
And you probably told him the story.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
I
You tell
told
him the
him everything
background of
about
it and all that stuff, and it just adds to it. I mean, as
Right,
always
for
with
sure.
cigars and the experience, obviously there's a story. I think Guy Fieri.
I think I got a cell phone number that night. We cut the show. Yeah. Shout out to him.
Don't text him when you're
Good
drunk, too.
dude. Good dude.
Come on.
I don't do that too often.
Hey, buddy, what you up to? Who is this?
It's
Well, you remember you told me
3 in the
about
morning.
tickets? You remember you told me about tickets that one
He
time?
said, get a hold of you anytime.
It's 3
Did you
a.m.
not mean that? It's nice to have that story because it does help, I think, sell it. And I think Guy Fieri, I don't really know of many people that he's probably got some like haters out there, but not really. You like either love watching his stuff or you're like, oh, I know who he is.
Right,
I don't really watch his stuff, but yeah, I mean,
So you've seen
He's-
like those little shout out videos we've done. He's done for like cigar shops have really supported the brand very well and stuff like
I haven't
that.
seen that with Tinderbox.
I do working on that. But are you aware of those videos?
Patch him in right now here.
Are you familiar with those videos? I was just.
I am familiar, yes.
So we've done a handful of them, right? And I think we've done like 4 in my territory.
Nice.
And
5.
so I hope you guys should be 5.
Lucky number 6.
And so we every time when the shop like shares that video that we sent guy sends us, that I get that video, I send it to them.
Skyrocket.
They put it on their social media, and I have not seen one negative comment from anyone on any of those posts.
Yeah.
Like it's all like, "Oh, this is awesome. That guy's great. I watch him every night when I'm having dinner, blah, 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 blah."
Yeah.
Like there's not one like, "Oh, fuck that dude" or whatever. Like not one.
Yeah, I haven't really
So
seen
it's
a whole
crazy.
lot of
It's
that,
crazy. Like,
which is surprising when you're at the level he's at as far as in the public eye.
right. For sure.
Yeah, I just feel like you either like if you don't care for him or
He's
whatever, you don't
the
watch
most
it.
popular human being ever, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't like him, you just like, I just don't really watch his stuff. If you if you love him, but I mean, I don't see many people like, "Oh man, that guy sucks. I heard he's a dick." Or
Right,
I've not heard that at all.
Nah, I've never heard one
So
story.
it is
of
cool to see that.
So yeah, we're really lucky, I guess, with the guy we picked to partner up with this.
Do we know what's next for the Knuckle Sandwich line? I mean, there have been requests for the 55 to be relaunched as a more or
So
less
we
a
will
regular
have-
production
We will have another chef special coming out.
every year, right?
So
an
that's going
annual
to be
release.
That's going to be an
Yeah.
annual release
Okay.
every year. We're going to keep the same Figurado shape, but the blend's going to change. This year's is going to be a little bit stronger. It's an absolute banger. I can't wait for people to try it. It's really good. I had the privilege of smoking it at the end of January during our sales meetings in Miami. And when Hector handed it to me, I cut it, lit it immediately. I'm like, dude, this thing.
He's like, you're supposed to save that.
I'm like, dude, this thing. No,
Fired.
Hector was throwing me to the ring when it came to like trying stuff, especially the new stuff that's coming out, like Warhead and stuff like that. So we've got that new chef special is going to be special for sure. No pun intended. It's going to be an awesome cigar. I can't wait for it to come out. So that's in the pipeline. We might have some other tricks up our sleeve.
Yeah.
But we're just right. We're not a company that really releases a whole lot of new stuff annual or regular production wise.
You don't. Now I did.
Last year we did a lot of limited edition stuff, which I was like, okay, we could kind of cut back on that a little bit maybe. But at the same time, we're on a heat wave. I mean, we're trending upwards and we're not slowing down at all. So let's keep riding the wave, man. So I don't want to get caught up in being the company that just released limited editions either.
You can't.
You can't be that.
If you guys did get your hands on the TAA Murcielago de Oro, can't really can't say anything, but blow up Tyler, Erik, Hector, blow up their social media in a nice way. And if you did get your hands on that, really try to push for them to make that a regular release. I can't say anything. I talked to Hector. I can't say anything about it, but I think if you guys respond well and say those that you have enjoyed it, they'll do their best. That's a lot of times when you do those limited releases, the TAAs, stuff like that. Not only is sometimes I think that there's not enough tobacco necessarily ready, or they want to do it. They want to do a limited release because it is fun. But if there is something that really hits, it's something that if you put that feedback out there, if they don't hear anything, they're like, all right, well, we didn't really hear anything. Mm-hmm. If you push the feedback and you post the pictures, they see people enjoying it. That's sometimes on those limited releases, that's something that I think will push them to launch it as a full-time release, an annual release like the chef special. But I do encourage all the consumers out there that if you try some of these limited runs or, like the TAAs or whatever it might be, if you guys there's no sound coming back from you guys, then I think you're going to not see it again. If you really enjoy it, make it well known. You have the tools to do that, whether it be talk to the reps, talk to the shops, talk to, just through social media. That's your guys' kind of voice to really push guys like Erik and his boy Hector, to really say, oh, wow, this is a better response than we expected. Can we do something with this? And I think you guys might see some success with that. And
Murcielago de Oro, if anybody hasn't seen that, that cigar is gangster. I mean, and that thing 6x54, I want to say.
It's a Toro.
Oval shape again. We did that the second time we've used the oval mold. Mexican Claro wrapper, Nicaraguan binder and fillers. That was made for an exclusive group of retailers called the TAA.
Hashtag bring 55 back.
Shout out to Cass.
I like that.
That's one of my Southside Indianapolis boys right there. I love Cass. And then another Indianapolis guy, Mike. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he comes in to the center box.
Yeah, dude, that dude travels all over the place. Yeah. He texted me the other day. He's like, does Newman's Cigars and More in Libertyville, Illinois, still have any more of those Murcielago de Oros? I'm like, they do. Yeah. He's like, awesome. I'm like, oh, geez, are you gonna drive all the way up there just to get that? All right, my man.
Yeah, he's the one that gave me one.
Oh yeah, beautiful. Mike's great people, man. Mike's awesome. But
get him on the show actually.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, he's a great dude. He's a great dude. I saw him last time I saw him. We were at Mr. B's in Avon, Indiana, on the west side of town. Yeah. Good great dude. But yeah, that TAA release. So the TAA essentially is like the top 80 retailers in the country, theoretically. Well, I think that's how it goes.
You can join it, request to join it. So the Tinderbox has not done. There's a stipulation that you are supposed to attend the annual convention wherever in Mexico or DR or whatever, at least every other year.
Right.
At least every other year. So that's something that you got to get away from the shop, right? So it's not everyone can do that.
I'll make that sacrifice.
You and a lot of people. But yeah, so it only went that cigar was only distributed to those stores
really nice
at that convention Steve was referencing. So we I think we were the only company that was actually shipping their TAA exclusive right away. So that was nice. A lot of people like ship it during the summer or a little bit later on. But I think that benefited a lot that people were like, oh wow, Espinosa's first year in the TAA, which was a huge honor for us. And they're already shipping their TAA exclusive. So I think that turned a lot of people onto us and stuff like that in that area. And that was already, I can say that was a very successful project. So we're very happy with the way that turned out.
That's good.
So
Yeah, you haven't been a part of the TA very long, right?
This is our first year.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
This is our first year, a part of it. Yeah.
I love this. Ray, loyal listener here. Morning Gents, apologize for my tardiness, but I had a late night. Hope that's because you got those cigars I saw. You're smoking them late in the evening. And then he follows it up with, oh, it's only Tyler. No worries. A lot of love out there.
Thanks, Ray. Thanks.
But then he got
he just follows it up.
I kept your
Aaron
I keep
out
your
there
receipts.
says Turbo looking better than ever. That's your nickname there.
Yeah.
What'd Bray say there?
My man.
I knew something was missing from
so
my
here we
shipment.
go. Yeah, now it's my fault.
Yep. Yes, it is, Steve.
Now it's my fault.
My man.
Verified the shipment before I sent it. I'm just gonna say that. Just gonna say that. Let's talk about the whiskey here a little bit. Here, this is we've done 1792 before. This is the bottle and bond. This is
Have you done the bottle and bond normal one?
Good question, Nate. Do you recall?
We've just done the small batch, and then I think it was earlier this year.
Like probably the full proof or something like that. With
Yes,
Jake.
Steve and I did the full proof because it was half a bottle that was
Donated,
to us by one
Full
of our
proof is
listeners.
fantastic.
So.
I love the full proof. I'm a big fan of the whole 1792 portfolio for the most part. At least the stuff you can get.
Yeah.
Like I was saying, I was telling Nate earlier, I was trying to tackle the whole portfolio of 1792. Have one bottle of everything they do, and that is a tricky one to get.
So what do we got?
Especially
here,
like the sweet wheat. So this is the bottle and bond, but this is a store pick for a chain of stores in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Whitey's Wine and Liquor. Lovely bourbon. I'm a big fan of this.
Lovely.
I think it goes really good with a Connecticut too. I mean, even though it's 100 proof, it really doesn't drink like it.
Surprisingly.
It's very easygoing, not overly sweet either. I think it's got great balance to it. Got a nice oakiness to it as well. And I'm a super easy to drink for 100 proof.
It does still. I think it has a little sweetness though to it. Not overly sweet.
Right. Yeah. It definitely has
to it.
sweetness, but it's not like crazy like
I get more
Buffalo
of a,
Trace sweetness.
I get more of like a honey type of sweetness to it.
Yeah, but it's brighter than like a
Yeah.
like there's not as much vanilla there.
Yeah,
I think
but
like when you get like
no
the
vanilla at
vanilla
all.
taste like with the honey, that usually will like kind of calm it down. That's where I'm getting that sweetness. It's almost like a little like tart.
Yeah, I get a lot of orange and cherry on it.
That's probably the tartness. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm right on the same page with you there.
Yep.
So this would be good for gout then.
No, there's no vitamin C in it.
Well, the cherry tart.
Jesus Christ.
Isn't that a gout thing?
It is medicinal. I mean,
anyone
I
in
will
here
say.
suffer from gout? Sean, don't you?
He doesn't.
That is one of the many things I have.
No.
Sean
Let me look through my medical chart.
I thought
Flipping through the pages. Oh
I
shit! This
swear
isn't alphabetical. It's gonna take me forever.
I thought last time I saw you were just getting over a case of gout. I don't know.
Sean doesn't suffer from gout. He enjoys every day of it.
Oh my gosh, that's not funny.
That's
That's terrible.
Woo. That's rough, man. That's rough for you, Nate. Yeah.
He said he doesn't have it, so
He doesn't. What do you two think of this, Sean? You want to?
Yeah. It reminded me kind of the stuff the Jeptho Creed, where
Jep the Creed. Yep.
where I was like, it's sweet on the front end, and you're waiting for the heat, and there is none. It's got a nice smooth finish.
Iodine helps with gout.
I really good to
You got a
know.
doctor in
Guess I
the
get that.
It's also good for your thyroid.
Is it really?
which is exactly what the
Isn't
follow-up
iodine
text I
like
got
toxic?
was.
Yeah. Huh?
Isn't iodine toxic?
Too much.
Oh,
much of anything is
iodine.
toxic.
Yeah, that's true.
Sean, back to you in the
Now that we
studio.
discussed the iodine and what it can do. What is medical benefits?
See, if we had
are.
that camera I'm talking about on you, like
That would have been
I would
priceless.
have had like
you could have kept talking.
Right.
I had that little.
Just like throw it on the mic, like fuck you guys.
guys.
Yes, my opinion.
No, I enjoyed it. It's I do like, again, it's nice to have something where it's not burning my esophagus. So sometimes I like that, but lately we've gotten some ones where you think it is and it's not. It's a nice little surprise, and I think it's very good. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Kind of very reminiscent of like that Heaven Hill 7-year 100 proof.
The bottled in bond.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because they're both bottled in bond.
I don't know, but
This is brighter.
very
Yes.
much brighter.
Yeah.
But this is like almost in the sense where it's not like overly sweet.
That's what we did the last time you were
And
on,
it did,
wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did the Warhead. No, that was the last time I was on. It was October 5th.
It was October because remember I
Warhead.
I picked up a bottle of Heaven Hill
When you're down in Florida.
in Florida like a week or two before, and you're like, dude, I got one if you want to do it. I'm like, absolutely, because I'm down to like less than half a bottle.
Right. Yeah, and that was awesome. But that bottle kind of reminds me where it didn't really drink like 100 proof either.
No.
And that's why I think I really liked it. I mean, I like higher proof stuff. At the same time, I don't want it to be like water either.
Yeah.
100 proof, the bottle and bond whole thing right now. And I think if you guys are regular bourbon drinkers, spirit drinkers, it's especially the bourbon and the whiskey. 100 is now, I feel like dancing around between 95 and 100 is not going to call it light. But it is something where
people want
in the
more.
world of, the cast strengths or even like the 100 and some or
Like our good friend Jake Sanders, he won't touch anything under 120.
So
I mean, Jake, he won't touch anything under 120. I swear, I haven't seen him drink anything under 120 outside of like JTS Brown 100.
right.
That might be the only thing under 120 he drinks. Like on.
So I think the 100 is
Shout out.
it's kind of sneaky because it does drink a little lighter for those that are regular bourbon enthusiasts, drinkers, whatever. Is that if you're drinking something in the 80s or pushing 90, I know it doesn't seem like a much more to some people that aren't very big bourbon drinkers, but for those that are 100, it's like it goes down. This one's going to go down easy. It kind of gets me, kind of salivating, kind of hits that finish. That's where that sweetness, when I said like it's got a little tartness to it, it kind of has that as opposed to a real dry finish. It kind of like kicks me right in the back, like the top of the throat there a little bit. And it keeps me going with that. And it's sneaky because it drinks a little lighter for those that are regular whiskey drinkers. And then you realize it does have that 100 proof as opposed to 80 to 90 or so on. You're drinking like barrel strength stuff. You're going to get fucked up if you drink too much of it, right? Because now you're drinking basically.
Oh boy,
you're drinking a shot and a half and a shot, right? That's kind of where it comes down to it. With this, you're right in the middle. You're like, oh, this is easy drinking. This is nice. I don't want to add ice. I don't want to water it down. I want to do it. But this is, it's very, very pleasant.
Yeah.
Is kind of where I'm going with that. It's tricky because it's still 100 proof. It will put you on your ass if you drink too much of it. And you're not used to it. This would be something I would hate to do it with a barrel pick, but with this, the normal 1792 bottle and bond or that what was it, full proof is a little higher than that.
Yeah. Full proof's like 120 something.
Is it?
Yeah.
The bottle and bond, I think this would make some great cocktails.
Oh, for sure.
I think this would really be something.
Yeah, like you said, I'd hate to do that with like a barrel pick.
You hate to do it, but if you're going to do cocktails, I mean, I think we're getting to the point.
If this is very
from the
similar
bourbon
just
side
to
of
like
things.
a normal bottled and bond, then that normal bottled and bond, I'll put that in a cocktail every day.
We should try it. Yeah, if you can find it.
That's also I don't know what a bar or a restaurant or a bar would charge you for a cock. I mean, I don't want to buy a $30 old fashioned.
Well,
no, I absolutely. But like when I drink like Old Forester, instead of the 86, I usually buy the bottled and bond, or not the bottled and bond, the 100 proof rather, because it's got a little much. Just the 100 proof Old Forester.
Okay.
I like the rye.
The 100 proof rye makes one hell of an old fashioned.
I don't even think it's in Ohio anymore.
At that price point, though,
think
of
they
that,
discontinued
though, it's still 20 some bucks, so you can do a cocktail with that. That's kind of my point. So this would make a killer cocktail. You go to one of those craft places, that'd be cool to see them do their own 1782 bottled and bond barrel pick for a bar, like a speakeasy style thing, and then they're going to go ahead and put it in a cocktail. Yeah, they're going to charge $18 for it, $20 for it, but I mean, again, if you're going out and you're going to try something kind of unique and they do a craft cocktail, this would be something cool to be in there.
Would you really want to do a cocktail with a $52 bottle that comes out once a year?
Is that what this is?
Yeah.
Normal bottle and bond?
The regular bottle and bond is $51.99 in the state of Ohio if you can ever get it, but they only release it because this is owned by Sazerac, same company owns Buffalo Trace.
Yeah.
They only release this in the fall.
Really? I didn't realize that.
And it started in
just the bottle and bond.
They don't do it twice a year?
They do this in it's a fall release. And it started in 2017.
Wow.
Would I want to if it was my bottle? Probably.
Good R&R right there.
Probably not. I think that's where I could see if you did a barrel.
Bar had, okay.
Right. And so now they have whatever 100 some bottles of this stuff. That's where I would say, is it worth it? That's up to you. That's your opinion. But like if you only have one bottle and you can't get it till next year and you don't want to pay secondary, whatever it is, probably not. I'm not saying do it at home. Maybe one, You know what I mean? Like do like
Just
a
try it out.
1 ounce pour into a cocktail or something like that, or 2 ounce pour. Like, yeah, that'd be fine. But I'm not saying like let's kill a bottle making cocktails.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
But at a bar or whatever that has a barrel, I think they would have an opportunity to do something really cool with this if it did taste somewhere near this. If you got a barrel, I think this would make a killer cocktail.
For sure. Yeah. Ditto.
Always good with your words, Tyler. Thank you for contributing there. Now it's back to you, Nate.
So,
ditto.
On this, they do not disclose an age statement.
Okay.
On this,
Really?
they also do not disclose.
This is for bottled and bond in general,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
We know it has to be at least 4 years.
Right, because it's
Bottled and Bond Act has to be at least 4 years, but they don't actually put the age on it. They also don't release the mash bill on these. It is
secret.
It's believed to be between a 15 and 25% rye mash bill. So that would kind of
That would explain why it's not got no kick to it.
well,
really.
20 to 25% rye, you'd be considered a high rye, but
Really?
for a bourbon,
well,
for a
yeah,
bourbon.
yeah.
But that's kind of where I see what Sean was talking about earlier, reminding him of the Jephthah Creed
Right.
rye bourbon that we had last week, because that was a 75% corn, 20% rye, and then 5%
Malted rye.
Malted rye.
Where's that
But-
distillery based out of Jephthah Creed? that Simpsons?
Shelbyville.
Shelbyville, Kentucky.
I knew it was an S in Kentucky.
Yeah, it's right near
Yeah.
Springfield and Simpsons.
It's in between. It's in
You were-
between.
You were circling around
Oh,
that.
it's-
There,
It's
pretty
in
good.
between Louisville and Frankfurt.
Sweet.
Right near Springfield.
And Tyler, bonus question: do you know why it's called 1792?
I don't know, Nate. Was it they discovered whiskey in 1792?
That was the year Kentucky joined the Union.
Oh,
Little history for you guys
There you
out
go.
there. Ray Chester
Oh,
does ask. We can do that. That's fine. Yeah, absolutely. He says, those that haven't checked the news today, we're recording this on Wednesday, the 24th. Yeah. Could you raise a glass to Miss Tina Turner, who passed away today? So best legs in the business, Shannon says. 84, I think it was, somewhere around there. Cheers.
to Tina. Wow, that's a good name.
It's a nice bell there.
Is it sad that I remember her most from Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Did she do a
Short
song?
answer, yes.
Didn't she do a song with Bruce Willis?
I don't know Bruce Willis's catalog very well.
Yeah.
except for the-
I'm pretty sure they did.
Most
like,
people don't.
I think they did a song together.
At that point, at this point, he doesn't either.
Easy. 83, Ray says.
Wow, geez.
Nate is
Come
throwing
on.
out there.
Damn, bro.
Wow.
Give the man a break. Kick him when he's down. I mean,
That's rough.
can the Peanut Gallery over there, can they see if they did a song together? Bruce Willis and
Someone
Tina Turner.
research it.
Someone.
Just talk to Siri.
Was it simply the best?
No. All right, moving on. Thanks, Ray. That was great. We're ruining it as we speak, so we're going to move on. For you guys,
That goal behind that statement you just gave us.
we are going to do the rating before we all go to hell.
Shock value.
This is where we do the rating towards the end of it. Unfinished Symphony.
Thank you.
Got Mike out there calling out there.
Hell yeah. I'm good.
For all
man.
those
I'm
with
good.
Spotify, check out Unfinished Symphony, Tina Turner and Bruce Willis.
In honor of both of them
There's
at
got to
this
be
point.
some harmonica on that one because that was Bruce's big thing. Did you know that?
He performed at Woodstock.
I didn't know that.
Well, no, there's a whole that's an
All right.
inside joke. There was a bunch of people at a lounge one time and we were talking about it.
God.
And you know the guy. He used to come around.
The guy with the thing
The
at
guy
the place.
it was very similar hairstyle as yours. Glasses.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
I've seen-
I'll tell off the camera. I'll tell you about it.
Harry Styles.
Didn't he smack Ben Stiller or something like that?
No, I spit on Chris Pine.
He spit on Chris Pine.
Close
All right.
enough.
Rating time right now is the
It
whiskey
was at a
cigar
tennis
and
match,
pairing.
right?
No, it was at a movie
I-
premiere.
It was a movie premiere.
It was a movie.
You got
Maybe we're talking
none
about
of that
different
story
incidents. Oh my God. So for those that are still tuning in, whiskey cigar and the pairing here. We do 3 ratings. 10 is the best. You rate the whiskey, which is the 1792 bottled in bond. This is the Whitey's.
Wine and
Sounds
Liquor.
bad when you say it like that these days.
Whitey's
Wine and Liquor Company, single barrel pick.
out of Lawrenceburg, Indiana.
And the cigar is the Knuckle Sandwich Connecticut. That's the Espinosa and Guy Fieri. Racist. Sorry, guys. You're doing so well. I thought we were, and then
we were on
you
the good
derailed
track.
us. You derailed us with that nice sentiment. Thank you, Ray.
It was a great thought, but
It was.
we couldn't be trusted with it.
Well, some of us. And then the pairing out of 10.
Am I going first?
Sean, you want to go first? Let these guys cool off a little bit.
Yeah. We start going on about something else, bro.
Squirrel. Okay.
Let me tell you about squirrels.
Yeah.
See the game last night, the Yankees game, I think it was. With a
Go
squirrel.
ahead, guys.
The squirrel.
The squirrel die?
No, squirrel. Go ahead, Sean.
Oh.
He's all like, seriously, what happened with the squirrel?
Well, no, there was a bird that died.
Sean, go
There
ahead.
was a bird that died at a Guardians game. The
Cut
other
his
day.
mic.
This
Cut his mic.
motherfucker some Adderall and shit, man.
Wait, Sean's or Tyler's?
Tyler's.
Okay.
All right.
Jesus.
No, don't do it. All right. Sean, go ahead.
So, lost my train of thought now. All right, so the cigar,
Rating time.
I'll give it 8.5. Like I said, I really enjoy it. Between that, I'd definitely go for this for like the next time I probably went to Connecticut. Between that and the Monte Cristo White, what is the retail price for this cigar?
MSRP, I believe, off the top of my head, $13.50.
Okay,
So I think it's $13.50 on the shelf. So I want to say,
Maybe
guess,
13.
yeah, it's
Sure,
a,
Churchill might be
$13.95. I think.
okay, yeah,
okay, it's a good,
Yeah.
good deal.
Either way, $13.
Yeah, so
Let's
8.5.
just say ballpark.
Okay.
ballpark 13.
All right, good to know. We go with a cup of coffee, some Dunkins.
$13.
So 8.5 there, and then the bourbon, I will do an 8.5 as well. And I think the pairing is a 9. I think they go well.
You like
together.
it?
Yeah, I think they really go well together.
Nice.
Yep. So
Shane, you want to rate the cigar before you embark on your journey?
Yeah, so this cigar, I'm actually with Sean. I'm gonna give it 8.5. Don't do a lot of Connecticut wrappers, but this is not because you're here, Tyler, but this is one of the best ones I've had. I really enjoy this. I could see myself picking this up, nice cup of coffee in the morning when I'm sitting staring at a mountain. So yeah,
And see, this is the market I was talking about.
No one likes a bragger here.
You see, this is my point earlier with the, like there's a market for this.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. Now, it sounded like you were disagreeing with me almost.
No, I was just asking an honest
You're just
question.
you're just being a great host, Steven.
I'm
I
trying to
appreciate it, pal.
bring along the conversation here instead of you guys going on tangents.
That's what people tune in
Bruce
for.
Willis was a great harmonica player.
I don't know this.
Tyler, go ahead with your ratings.
My ratings. The 1792. I'll start with that. I would probably go a solid 8.2 on that.
Okay.
I like it. I like it definitely. If I ever find anyone that has more of these picks, I'm gonna be like,
Is this an account for you?
no,
Okay.
no. So I got this bottle from a friend of mine that I think I traded him a bottle for it because,
Okay.
like I said, I was trying to go through collect anything 1792 that I could find, and that
Do you want to save some of this for you?
No, not at all. We're gonna kill
Okay.
that thing tonight.
Got it. Just want to make sure.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I got probably should crack in the trunk too if we need it.
Go ahead.
So in the cigar, I think when it comes to Connecticut, I think this thing definitely stands on its own. So I'll probably give this a 9.3. And like I said earlier, I'm not a Connecticut guy at all, but that's why we made this cigar.
Yeah.
For people like me and Shannon and everybody else that's not really traditionally Connecticut people,
Yeah,
but
Ray
they want
Cheshire
to have
says.
a good morning option.
Yeah, he says he's it's good to hear because he's not a lover of Connecticut wrapper. Also,
No, and this thing doesn't even smoke like Connecticut in my opinion.
got it.
But it's got great balance. It's got great flavor. Super easy, velvety. Just got a lot going on for Connecticut with a little bit of balls to it.
Did you rate the pairing?
The pairing, I would say it's a solid 9 on the dot. Pairing.
Yeah.
I like it a lot. I think this was not tooting my own horn, but I think once again, I tend to knock these pairings out of the park. And I kind of do them blindly, but just so happens I'm on a good streak right now with pairings.
You
on this program.
are. You are.
This program's, I got a good grasp on pairings. So I
Absolutely.
think I'm continuing my streak here with solid pairings. Not to
Don't say, even if you say not to toot my own horn, you are tooting your own horn.
It's like no offense, but
With all due
gonna
respect.
with all due
Yeah.
respect,
Nate, how about you?
you're kind of bald.
On the whiskey,
Facts.
I'm an 8 on the whiskey. I really do enjoy the flavor. I think this is the first time I've actually had the bottled and bond
Okay.
of 1792. I really do enjoy it. My only complaint is they release it once a year. It's so hard to get. And with the exception of the small batch, all the 1792 stuff, when it goes out, especially in the state of Ohio, with it being the small batch isn't allocated, but all the other ones are. And when it goes out, it's gone. Like, this is one of those that people wait in line for the truck to show up at Kroger, or they wait in line on a Saturday morning at Carfagna's to buy any
Who?
Carfagna's.
That's where he works.
I work wine. I sell wine, liquor, and cigars. It's a great gig.
You guys have an OTP?
We do actually.
I
Yeah.
need to stop by.
There you go.
There you go.
Do a wine sampling while you're there.
Yeah, I'll pour you something.
Bingo.
But no, I really enjoy the bottle. It's just nothing you can ever find readily available.
So
these
if you
days.
could find it regularly, would you rate it higher?
I would.
Okay.
Yeah, and in the state of Ohio at $51.99, I think it's a great buy too, because it's got a lot of really good flavor, and I mean it's about $20 more than the regular small batch.
I think it's worth it though.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I like the normal small batch. I think it's
I think small
solid.
batches hit or miss with a lot of people, because I see a lot of people that are, even the bourbon hunters, they pass it up. I mean,
it's so readily available too. Any more
I've-
bourbon hunters, they want the limited stuff.
I've been at the store for almost 4 months now, and I think we've gotten the regular 1792 small batch twice,
really?
and it's
Wow.
6-pack cases.
Yeah.
And it takes like all day Saturday, maybe even into Sunday before it sells.
Interesting.
What
about the cigar?
Screwing you guys over in this state. Good God.
Cigar, I'm a 9 on the cigar. I absolutely love this cigar. Loved it the very first time I had it at the shop. Because what I really like about Ecuadorian Connecticut cigars is that wrapper just produces a really nice, thick, creamy smoke. And there's a lot of flavor that goes with it. And I absolutely love that wrapper, even though it's a difficult wrapper to work with. It has a lot of great flavor to it. But then the retrohale, or as Bobby Hirschman likes to say, through the nose, that's what really sets this cigar apart from a lot of other mild cigars or Connecticut cigars, because I was not expecting that level of spice and complexity through the nose on this cigar, and this has it. And
Is
so
that
it's-
cinnamon through the nose?
I don't know.
The retro.
Well, it's kind of hard for me to do it while I'm talking, so I'll figure it out in the intermission.
He's feisty today.
I
He is
die.
feisty today.
Sure, this is only 100 proof.
But yeah. But no, it's a really good smoke. Very different from the Maduro, the Habano, and the 55 that you guys came out with.
Which is a great thing in my opinion.
Yes, those are all great cigars.
Mhm.
And so when I heard you guys were coming out with the Connecticut, I was like, that's a tough nut to crack,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of longtime players in that market.
They
and
have
that's
cornered
why-
that market very
and
well.
that's why a lot of companies, when they come out with cigars, they tend to stay away from doing Connecticut's, because there's a handful of companies that already have that market on lockdown.
Yeah.
But I think this is one that will challenge every single one of those brands.
Thank you, bro.
I'll
pass that along.
There you go. Now
There
we're
it is.
learning. Now we're learning. All right.
Give it a couple more hours and it'll all go away. And then for the pairing, I'm a 9 on the pairing as well. The sweetness, the citrus of this bottle, I think goes great with some of that spice that you get from the cigar, as well as enhancing the flavor of the Connecticut wrapper on the palate.
Cool.
I'd say the whiskey. So this is good. It's 8, and I'll give it an 8.25 right there in the middle there. I think this is a good bottle. It's the fact that it's a barrel pick. I think that's great. I mean, I appreciate you sharing this. This is a very very enjoyable bottle. It's not. It doesn't blow your socks off. It's just a solid bottle of whiskey, right? Bottle of bourbon, right? You know, if this was in this barrel pick was readily available, or if you go back to Whitey's place, I would definitely pick up another bottle for 50, if it's $50, whatever it was.
I'll see if I can find more.
No, I'm just saying, yeah, I mean, it'd be great because this is a good bottle, and $50 if you're just getting the regular bottle and bond as a suggested retail, you're not that far off of the average retail price of a bottle.
No.
Right. I mean, like, shoot, I mean,
bottled and bond,
but just a bottle in general. But I mean, nowadays, I think $40-$50 is your starting point for a lot of different whiskeys. And I think this is one that what's the regular small batch? It's less than that. It's
$32.99.
32.
So $19.
So, I mean, in between the two of them, I would agree with that. This is worth the extra money if you get your hands on, right? So I enjoy the bottle. I enjoy the little bit of sweet tartness to it. But it does have a little spice, but it's an enjoyable bottle. The cigar, the Knuckle Sandwich Connecticut. This is enjoyable. It surprised me when I smoked it. I think it surprises a lot of people. You've heard it on the show already tonight with people in the garage and how they responded. Some of the people on the live feed that have smoked it. It's definitely going to surprise you a little bit, but it also does have some of those, I guess, expected classic characteristics still of a Connecticut. Now it's Connecticut mainly with Nicaraguan tobacco. So if you're looking for, say, if you're a cigar smoker, if you're looking for a Fuente Connecticut shade, if you're looking for a Griffin's, a Davidoff, whatever it might be, totally different cigar. This is a different animal. It's not better or worse depending on what your palate is. For me, this is better. I like Nicaraguan tobacco. When people talk about like that aftertaste, they don't want anything too full bodied or anything like that. For me, something like I enjoy a Griffin's. I enjoy a milder Davidoff. Those are the ones that give me a little aftertaste. They get bitter towards the end. And that's nothing against them. That's just how it hits my palate when I'm used to smoking other things. A lot of times I feel like they get a little hot. You know, if they do get a little hot, rather, they will get a little bitter in a way that grassiness and it turns on me. It turns on me.
Yeah.
This doesn't have that, just like we've talked about tonight. So I'd give the cigar an 8.5. I think Espinosa Cigars is really killing it with this Knuckle Sandwich project. It was a gamble. It is a novelty at first, and it's turned out to be a very cool project, partly because of Erik and you guys, your team, right? But also because guys' influence on it and the fact that it's borderline gimmicky, but then there's substance behind it. If you guys put out a shit cigar for $13, but it had Guy Fieri's name on it, people smoked, you're like, this is like any other Connecticut. This is like any other Maduro. This is like any other. You didn't do that, and I think this is, this as the third piece of the staple products in the Knuckle Sandwich line, you're going to have a hard time beating it with another staple. So I don't know where you're going to go with that. If there is a fourth horse coming in here with it, you have the Maduro, you have the Habano, now you have the Connecticut. Besides the chef specials, besides the 55, the limited runs, I'm interested to see what happens with the Knuckle Sandwich portfolio on its own. Is there something else coming out? Like you already did the Maduro. I mean, there's some options there, but you're getting limited.
Who says we can't do another Maduro just with a different Maduro wrapper? Because we did Sumacha, which isn't traditionally a Maduro wrapper.
Correct.
So you can do broadleaf. We already did San Andreas. We got a lot of options.
You got the options, but you already called it Maduro. You already called it that. So you could come out with the Knuckle Sandwich Oscuro. You could come out with the Corojo or whatever, whatever you want to call it. But you guys don't really use Corojo in the name. So
the cool thing is with us, no matter what we put our name on, and any consumer or retailer out there that's watching this right now, you can believe if we're coming out with something and it's got our name associated with it, first off, it's going to taste like an Espinosa. So that's it. It don't matter who's associated with it. It's going to taste like an Espinosa from the beginning it lights to the end. And that's because, we just had that signature profile.
If I were to guess, and this is completely guessing, I talk to Hector sometimes and Erik, don't know anything about this. My gut's telling me if you were to do another Knuckle Sandwich, it would be cool to see some sort of a Brazilian project because of the success of the Laranja line. That would be really cool to see.
That would be cool.
You guys use San Andreas. Yeah, you could do that. But it'd be really cool to see like a Brazilian wrapper, you know, a branch off of, if you will, like the Oscuro, but maybe polish it up a little differently. I don't think
use
you
that
can.
Rizzoli Amalfina.
Hey, I don't think you can use the Laranja Reserva wrapper leaf on anything.
Nah, it's just such an iconic wrapper. Yeah, we don't have enough of that. We got enough to make Laranja.
Yeah, that's it. The pairing I thought was good. I give the pairing 8.5. I think this is really enjoyable. This is something that, because the cigar has some body to it, it stands up to 100 proof whiskey. If you were any lighter, if you had, I think, a predominantly Dominican blend of a Connecticut, I think it would have thrown it off quite a bit.
It would have overpowered the Dominican tobacco for sure.
So 8.5 on that.
Unless you're smoking like a LaFleur or something like that.
Right. No. Exactly.
I mean, they're an oddity themselves.
Agreed.
So, in the DR at least.
So with that, guys, we're gonna take a quick break, and we're gonna go to intermission, and then we'll go to part 2. The topic tonight is
this is gonna be fun.
Is there more in life than whiskey and cigars? That's your topic tonight, boys and girls. So we'll get to that in part 2. I want to thank our sponsors, Tinderbox at Easton in Columbus, Ohio, Altadis USA, BS Cigar Company. You guys at patreon.com/Bourbon and BS podcast, or if you want to do Venmo at Bourbon and BS. If you want some swag like Nate is wearing the red and gray BS silver, focus on the silver lining shirt, that in another color, I think black and blue. I don't know, a couple colors on there as well. Buyjack.com/Bourbon and BS. And you'll get those.
Snag the 3/4 sleeves.
3/4 sleeves are
They're
badass.
perfect. They're perfect for this time of the year.
You love that black and blue one.
The black and blue one's fantastic. The white with the yellow, I wear that underneath my sleeveless for the brand Pat McAfee hoodie.
Oh, so you cover up the BS part. That's cool.
I didn't think about that, but you know, it's great for sleeveless hoodies. If you have sleeveless hoodies and you got one 3/4 sleeve underneath, perfect.
Or you can just wear the 3/4 and grow a pair. Guys, thanks Tyler for being here and the gifts after that comment. Cheers. Happy Whiskey Wednesday. Stay tuned for part 2.
And you thought I was the only one on fire tonight.
Damn.
Yeah, but he's here to defend himself.
Right. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Bruce Willis ain't fucking here.
No.
He doesn't need
Are we still
Bruce
live?
Willis to do
We
it.
are live, yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Nice. I always forget whether we actually are still alive or not.
We're live right now.
Trying not to
Beautiful.
burn my hand, Tyler.
Intermission.
I'm so sorry.
I just didn't want to drop the bottle. That's my only concern.
So we got a lot of nonsense going around the sports media world.
Okay.
Me and you were watching the show earlier and talking about what quarterbacks are like the most under pressure this upcoming season or whatever.
Very true.
And I think we should address it because because Dan Orlovsky was on point with like everything he was saying.
We'll do a quick
maybe not.
Tyler Jones update on the sports
Maybe
during the intermission, like we normally do when he's on. For those listening, stay tuned.
Bear down.
If you
Justin
wanna-
Fields, shout
Bear
out.
down, bear down.
No, but like he had Aaron Rodgers number 1 because which I understand because
Ray Cheshire's already writing yawn. Let's talk about the other football.
I understand.
Football.
We can talk about Champions League at another time, Ray. I mean that whole scenario.
All right,
that's
we got
crazy.
3 minutes of this here, Ray. Bear with us, all right?
But Aaron Rodgers being number 1 on his list makes sense because he's contemplating retirement, all that jazz.
He's got pressure because he fucked around and
Well,
strung everyone along.
He was, doing his thing.
I was
He's
gonna
like
find
he's
out.
a hippie. He can be a hippie if he wants to be.
Oh my God.
But it's like, I mean, the guy just wanted out of
Sunshine.
Green Bay. So I mean, but it's probably going to be a one and done year for him, I would assume. And
he's
so
going to
this
try.
is the
He's
one
going to.
shot.
He's going to try to Tom Brady this thing.
Right. So the
Jets.
And I think the Jets squad that's a way better team overall than the Packers team he had last year. So I think he's going to thrive as long as he stays healthy.
That's Kristen's response to talking about Aaron Rodgers.
I
Still,
mean, I'm the very few that defends the guy. Someone's got to be in his corner.
his family's not. I mean, I should put it on the feed too. By the way,
Right.
Yeah.
Steve is happy that Aaron Rodgers is out of the Bears division.
Right, of course. I mean, now it's
Sure.
the Lions division, but it's we'll see how it goes.
Oh my God.
I mean, the Bears are definitely the second best team in that division, I think.
They think the Vikings are.
In what world? I mean, Kirk Cousins. No disrespect to Kirk Cousins whatsoever,
He's not listening.
He's not good in prime time.
but as long as he's in Minnesota,
Kirk Cousins, if you're out there,
they
chime in here.
got the Lions or the Bears
Send
got
you the
nothing to
link.
worry about with you. Yeah, I mean, I think I put the Packers with Jordan Love in front of the Vikings because first off, that team can't stay healthy. They lost Adam Thielen. I mean, they still got Jefferson at wide receiver, but outside of that, I mean, that team's just. I guess they have T.J. Hawkinson. They lost a lot of defensive people. I just don't see the Vikings team being much to worry about in that division. It's definitely the Lions.
It will not be the most exciting division by any means. The Bears have a chance to, and I am a Bears fan, they have a chance to really have a turnaround season.
Of course.
And backdoor into the playoffs. That would be cool to see.
They made some very good defensive pickups in the offseason.
I think they're 2 years away, but it's tough if you don't pounce on it when you have these big moves.
Right.
You're going to have to lose people just because of salary cap.
Right. And then you got to play the salary cap
Ray says
gymnastics
it's been 3 minutes.
and stuff like that. So it's going to be tough. But I just wanted to get that out there.
All right.
Jordan Love was number 2. I think that's a little harsh for the kid.
Yeah.
I put Jared Goff in there before him just because I don't know how many teams are going to give Jared Goff a shot after his Detroit 10 years over.
I think Jared Allen's going to be under pressure.
Kobe missed the landing.
Jared Allen.
Yeah.
The pass rusher for the Vikings.
Oh, not Jared Allen. Josh Allen. Sorry.
Oh, Josh
Allen. I think he's got a lot.
Well,
Jared's going to have a tough year too. No.
Josh Allen. I mean, he's
got to perform.
He messes up in the wrong time. I mean, he's talented as hell. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he's a top 5 quarterback. When
he's going to get injured this year is a problem.
That's a possibility. And the way he plays, and he just turns the ball over in the worst time of the game.
Most turnovers.
Yeah. I mean.
All right, you guys ready?
Yeah, I guess I got my soapbox.
Good segue though.
Right.
Is there more in life?
There's more than life than whiskey and cigars.
And back to you in the studio. That's sports.
That's sports.
Bourbon and BS Sports page brought to you by Espinosa Cigars.
Over to Jim Donovan. Talk about the Cleveland Browns this year.
Let's go to Ollie for the
I was going to say, let's go to Nate for the weather. What do we got?
It go rain.
Thank you, Ollie.
Yeah. Pretty calm on the cul-de-sac tonight. No ghetto birds.
A ghetto bird?
Yeah.
Oh.
Helicopter.
Oh.
The police helicopter?
Oh.
You've never heard that?
I can say that. I can say that because it flies over our neighborhood a lot.
Yeah.
Huh.
Someone just DM'd me. Is that your podcast?
Yeah.
No, it is not.
Now is your chance to.
This is my time. Yeah, of course. Thank you for subscribing.
I made those too. I'll be sure to tell the person who does the podcast.
One of the Cigar Hustler guys.
Oh, nice.
Shout out to Boots.
No, it's Bourbon and BS. Let's get them on here sometime. They're the #1 cigar podcast.
They are. Cigar Hustler guys are the #1 rated
Apparently.
cigar podcast in the world. Among cigar podcasts, apparently. Congrats to those guys. They're good dudes. They got a brand, Pastania.
Yeah.
Great dudes. Mike BDP Palmer. And I'll let you figure out what BDP stands for.
I don't want to.
No.
And Mike, the King Stepankevich.
Wow, we don't have nicknames. Maybe that's why they're the #1 podcast.
Right there you go. They got
Shit.
Yeah.
I didn't know we had to have. Do we have to have like numbers and the Russian judge? That's right.
That's right. That goes way back. That goes
RJ.
way back.
Yeah, you can't really say that these days.
Yeah.
All right, you guys ready for this?
Sure.
Let's get it.
Welcome back to the Bourbon and BS podcast, everyone. This is episode 271, part 2, Beyond the BS. For those listening on the live feed, you just missed or listening on the audio, rather, you just missed the sports section with Tyler Jones.
Listen back at it. It's really good stuff.
It's just solid material there.
It's about as good as Nickelback was back in the day.
ESPN is calling you. Oh, my. Tonight, we are smoking in part 2.
I'm going to defend them at some point in the second part.
That's
and
racist.
It's going to be a hard hill to die on, but I'm going to do it. Yeah. Hey, bro, that's my childhood, bro.
Everyone knows the name or the lyrics, so you're
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
Ray says that's one for the Bourbon BS community, nicknames for the host. I don't want that to start. Thank you very much. I already know that's going to start by the time we're done. It'll be decided. Tonight we are smoking in part 2 the Espinosa Murcielago. This is the Toro Box Press, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct, sir.
We smoked the Knuckle Sandwich Connecticut in the first part. And we reviewed that, talked a lot about that, the project between Erik Espinosa and Espinosa Cigars with Guy Fieri. This is the third core release from them. There's the Habano and Maduro that launched initially. Now this is the Connecticut, and we had a great conversation about that project, along with the 1792 Bottled and Bond. That's a barrel pick that Tyler brought with him. We're still sipping on that. So I want to thank you guys, our sponsors. If you guys are just tuning in on the audio, we got Tinderbox at Easton in Columbus, Ohio. They do carry the Knuckle Sandwich line, the limited edition ones when they're available, but also the 3 core lines, the Maduro, the Habano, and the Connecticut. And I also want to thank the Altadis USA. Normally we do a second cigar from them, and they continue to support us. Their brands are behind us. Some of their iconic brands are behind us, rather. Monte Cristo, Romeo y Julieta, H. Upman, and also Aging Room. Right next to the Aging Room, if you'll see that beautiful La Bamba tin sign that's been donated to the garage a while back. It's just absolutely great. Old school war type of thing there with the pinup on the bomb.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
And I also want to thank BS Cigar Company. So BS Cigar Company, great golds are available, made by Plasencia. The silvers are made by Espinosa Cigars. Right now, there are the 2 core sizes, the 6x46 Rubito, along with the 6x54 Toro. And right now, for a limited time, there's a 6x60 as opposed to the 6.5x58. This is going to be 500 cigars. Once they're gone, they're gone. Smoking them. You smoked one today.
It was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I'm not a
great.
6x60 fan either. Usually, if I smoke a 6x60, it has to be box press. But I'm a big fan of that silver blend as a whole.
Yeah.
Especially the Rubito and then the Robusto and the Toro that you guys do. I love all those sizes. But this 60, it surprised me. I will be pleasantly
It's a little more
surprised.
balanced.
I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
it because the Rubito is my favorite size of the
A
cigar.
lot less pepper on this one.
A lot less, but it's got body, it's got
Yep.
pepper, it's got earth, it's got delicious.
Delicious. Got a little oomph to it.
It's got a little oomph.
Patreon.com/Bourbon and BS podcast. If you guys want to do a monthly contribution, we appreciate that. We do upkeep some things around here, including obviously what we're broadcasting from. We talked about it first thing.
Brand new laptop.
Brand new laptop.
It
Brand new
seems like
Bourbon
it's
and BS. It seems to be doing all right.
It's hanging in there, bro.
Hopefully, you guys, the feedback on the video quality is good, and everything else is working smoothly. Or one-time contribution, Venmo at Bourbon and BS is the
You
tag
got
there.
Venmo.
We got Venmo at Bourbon and BS.
Oh, tomorrow's payday. I might have the Venmo, you guys.
Bingo.
Beautiful.
Buyjack.com/Bourbon and BS for any of the shirts. I'm wearing an old school Alpha Dog Erik Espinosa shirt. You've got one of your newer Espinosa E shirts on there. And then
to the right pack.
Nate is the only one on stage sporting the BS line here. We also have some podcast shirts on there. We've got some 3/4 sleeves and some hoodies as well. So check that out at buyjack.com/Bourbon and BS for any of those shirts.
Those are the
and swag.
zip ups, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you don't have that. You don't have just straight hoodies.
We don't.
Earlier,
Is that
Ray,
next?
It might be.
Okay.
earlier, Ray thought that your shirt had my face on it.
I
was
saw
like,
that.
No.
You can
That's
see that a little
Erik.
bit. You can see a little bit. It's a little faded.
There's a couple of those cracks from the screen print. You know, they must be resembling his wrinkles on his
Well, good.
face, man.
The quality's fine. Tim says the sound is great. Steve looks pretty bald. Yeah. I look at it as I look pretty bald, not pretty bald. So thank you, Tim, for that.
That's how you look
obviously
at it. That's how you round it out, bro.
The filter's working. The glamour filter
The
on
glamour
us. is nice.
filter.
All right. Part 2 is where we kind of do something a little different while we smoke cigars and drink some whiskey. And I thought this topic was pretty appropriate. We can go in a lot of different ways here. But it is there more in life than whiskey and cigars? And the way that I have this, Tim says he forgot the comment. Sure you did. How much of your life is being consumed with hobbies, work, or something else? How do you manage your time? And can you manage expectations of others, or can you communicate what you need? Part 2 usually handles this aspect, yet do we really not get overly consumed by our interests like whiskey and cigars? So this can be something, obviously, generally in life where,
Boy, Steven, that's quite deep.
It can be.
Yeah.
Just like part 2. But I mean, we can talk about things like on this part where it is like the whiskey and cigars, right? We do a podcast on whiskey and cigars. We're part of a lot of groups. Obviously, the 3 of us are in the industry on the cigar side of things. Nate now has branched off into the whiskey and the wine as well from a retail standpoint. If you're talking about all the time, if you're at the workplace, this is another thing you can do where if you're at the workplace and it's consuming your out of work hours as well, like can you manage those expectations? Is your boss expecting you to be on call 24/7? Are you feeling like you're tied to the job 24/7? cigar guys, this is not knocking anything, but it is about a little bit of that balance where it's like, I went through it for a long time. Obviously now being in the industry, it's like you work, you smoke cigars and you're posting things and you're part of these cigar groups and you're doing like, you're posting cigars at night, you get home and all you want to do is sit out back or whatever in your smoking lounge and smoke cigars. All the while is that consuming too much time, too much of your effort? Are you going to
burn out on it?
Are you going to burn out? Are you going to leave people behind, leave other things behind? Are you going to leave other aspects of your life behind? With the sports thing, obviously, if all you do is talk about that, gambling is legal in Ohio now and other places. Right. So people are spending so much time on that. That's kind of, this is literal and also a little bit of a metaphor. Is there more in life than whiskey and cigars? Because we're so consumed. We're talking about the people that camp out for bottles of whiskey and they're doing secondary things and that's all they fucking do.
Right.
And either they're single, they're married, they have kids, they don't have kids, whatever the situation might be. But I mean, you're camping out for, you even said like this, the bottle of tequila that Guy Fieri was signing near you last weekend or whatever. The store allowed people to start lining up at 10:30. And what time was the signing?
5:45, I believe.
7 hours of your life to
Right.
to meet Guy Fieri and get a bottle of tequila signed by him. I mean, right. Are we okay with this? Like, what is the mentality here?
I've had people wait in line for over 12 hours just to get a bottle of whiskey.
Right.
It wasn't even going to be signed by anybody.
Is that
right.
okay? I mean, that's kind of what we're talking about.
I think okay. Yeah.
I got first comment here actually before you chime in, just to put it on there is, Austin puts it on there. I know that I can speak for myself on this topic. It does get difficult to manage at times. Seems our industries are ever evolving with constant activity, hard to keep up with sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the culture you're surrounding yourself with, and that's what it's a big part of your life and stuff like that. Who am I to tell you shouldn't wait in line for 10 hours for a bottle of whiskey or something like that? It ain't my place to
There's no right answer to this.
No, there's no.
This is an open conversation,
right? For sure. I'm a perfect example of just a habitual cigar smoker, and just I feed off the social aspect of our business, right?
Sure.
So when I'm like chilling out on the weekends, like I have my time where I'm working at it, when I'm making sales calls and stuff like that, traveling on the road and stuff like that, but at the same time, I have that time to be in my Zen moment, which happens to be around my business, right? And what I do for a living. So I'll be at the cigar bar on the weekends. I'll go to dinner, see friends that I'm friends with over at, places I regularly go to have dinner or lunch or whatever. And then next thing you know, it's a cigar gets brought into the picture. And then, next thing you know, I'm at the cigar bar and I'm, finishing the night off there, having some drinks, having some cigars, seeing friends, hanging out. But you got to mix in the other stuff too. You got to, mix in going to a baseball game, going to a concert. I'm in a concert mode already this year, just to change it up for me. I mean, I've been to 5 concerts already this year. Well, I went to Hardy, Chase Rice, got Muscadine Bloodline coming up. I saw Luke Combs, Laney Wilson, and Riley Green.
Love Riley Green.
Riley Green's he's grown on me a ton.
Yeah.
There's during that, because him and Laney Wilson were opening up for Luke Combs, and which was an amazing concert. And like I knew Riley Green from like that new Thomas Rhett album, because they did Half of Me together, which is a great drinking song. Great song. And he actually did that there, which was really good. He did the whole thing. But there's a couple songs that I didn't know he actually did. I knew he did, I Wish Grandpa's Never Died. That's a heavy song. I mean, we can go on a whole subject about
tearjerker.
Yeah, that's a heavy song.
Let's not talk about it.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I get that. But I've been on a concert kick, and that's kind of been like and I'm on a country music kick, as much as anything else. So it's like that's like my exodus from like the world I live in and the cigar culture and everything like that. It's like just going to that concert and just having a couple drinks and, enjoying a great show and stuff like that. That's like my, that and going to like sporting events. That's like my It's like the only time where I'm not kind of, or when I'm back home visiting family and stuff like that, which is super important too.
Right.
You got to find, all it is just finding a balance and stuff like that. I mean, you just got to, because I mean, it's very easy for my position to get burnt out in my industry doing this. So I feel like I'm constantly working, constantly traveling. You know, at some point I'm going to be like, yo, screw this traveling, bro.
We have to figure in all those things, like the personal ones, right? I mean, that's like for you, you're talking about concerts, and it's like if you go to a concert, say on a Thursday night or whatever, can't do an event. You know, you might have someone like, it's also the company you work for, right? And some of the accounts, it's like if they're texting you on a Thursday night while you're at a concert, you already got their doors open at 7 or whatever, and you're walking in, you already maybe had a pregame or whatever, you're hanging out with friends, and you go into that arena. Now all of a sudden, say Jack, your boss, is texting you and be like, "Hey, I really need you to get a hold of this account."
Yeah.
How do you manage that? That's the managing the expectations, I think, sometimes from the work side of things, is that, you know, yes, work pays the bills. Obviously, you have to have a work-life balance. But I mean, how do you manage those expectations, or how do you navigate those conversations when it comes down to, you know, you're doing some of these fun things, but then all of a sudden work steps in? Have you had that happen, or
luckily I haven't really had that happen.
That's good.
So I mean, luckily I like to think that's because I'm doing my job the right way the first time.
Yeah.
That I don't have to worry about those things kind of popping off. And and usually, you know, a retailer gets a hold of me and say, or try and get a hold of me. I tell them, "Hey, I'm busy right now. Can I call you back?" 98% of them understand.
So you hope there's some give and take there.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's a very, you know, luckily I make more people happy than I upset. And luckily I don't think I've upset too many people.
Yeah.
Of course that kind of comes with the job to a certain degree. You're not going to make everybody happy, you know, unfortunately that's the case. But, you know, I try to do my job get it done the right way the first time, so I don't have anything like that happen. And, you know, then I'm going to be like, some guy's going to be like, "Oh, this is like the third time you've ignored me."
Saves you future hassles.
Right.
There's a balance there, right? Yeah.
You gotta find the balance. And as long as, you know, for the most part, especially in my line of work, it's like, as long as I'm great to every retailer, which I do my best to be, they're very understanding. And, you know, if I tell them, you know, "Hey, the night you tried getting a hold of me, I was, you know, having some me time and like doing something for my own peace of mind to disconnect a little bit and stuff."
You have a personal life too,
because at some point, if I get burnt out, then they lose a rep,
right?
And, you know, I like to consider some of these, you know, accounts my friends and stuff like that, you know. And so then they're going to be like, "Oh, fuck, if he burns out, he's not going to be coming around. I'm going to lose a friend," all this stuff. So I think there's a good understanding on something like that.
Yeah,
for sure. And especially in the company, the size of the company we are, you know, we're very hands-on stuff like that. So we really don't run into that issue too often. Yeah,
it's definitely family feel there.
Yeah, for sure.
Sean, I don't know if you want to chime in on that. I know you've started. So Sean in the audience, he's got his headphone in. I don't know if he's actually on a call or not, but that's something where, you know, again, you're on call a lot. It's tough to have that personal life and work balance. I mean, how do you manage those expectations?
Yeah, finally, I have a job now where when I work my ass off, and sometimes there's long periods of time, but in the times that I do have off, I think what I've learned too is, as much as long as I can work and hard as I can work at times, when I do have those times off, I really appreciate them. I really enjoy the time where, like, okay, it's like a Thursday night or a Friday night, and I got done working. I'm gonna go out in the patio and just have a cigar and a glass of bourbon. I've been doing that quite a bit since the weather's been so nice, just to kind of decompress from everything. And just, and my wife's cool about, you know, like, let me do that. You know, there's times where I start smoking, like, "Oh, I'm smoking Wednesday, and I'm Thursday, and Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday." And like, all of a sudden she's like, "Could you please cut back a little bit?" And then my kid comes in and starts giving me a guilt trip. I'm like, "All right, you know, it's not that I'm addicted to them or anything. I mean, hell, I had surgery a few months ago, and I had to spend like 6 weeks without having any cigars at all, and it didn't kill me. But it is nice to have that option to light up a cigar. And, you know, especially being like, with where I live, I have a really nice backyard that looks back in the woods, and it's kind of a way to escape from everything. So
yeah.
But, you know, I also work hard to be able to enjoy those things when I do get the free time. So and like you mentioned earlier, it's all about balance. And I definitely don't take it for granted. you know, and like I always make sure, even when I sometimes come here and I'm working, I have a laptop here sometimes and I have to take phone calls and shit, but I still try to make it like when I've even come in a tinderbox and worked.
Yeah.
And put the laptop on the, and sometimes I can do both. And, you know, so on a certain occasions, it's nice to be able to do that as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think it's tough to navigate that kind of thing. And I think from my experience, not only my own personal, but friends and significant others and family and all that stuff, you see that happen where people absolutely get bombarded with it. And that is a very slippery slope where you have that, you know, more to life in whiskey and cigars. I think that is something where, you know, Ray comments, you know, you should absolutely appreciate the community that comes with the whiskey and the cigars. It's the biggest miss in my life since moving away from the U.S., other than the daughter, of course. And I think that's something where you have the ability to do that through like Facebook and through social media. You have all that stuff. But sometimes I think that, you know, you talk about that was an interesting point you made, Sean, is that, you know, that's kind of your decompressing time. That's a little bit of an escape. It's keeping that in check, obviously. Mm-hmm. If you're having a drink, you're having a cigar, you enjoy that stuff. But if you find yourself kind of gravitating towards that instead of waiting for that 5 o'clock at the end of the day that doesn't ever happen, and now you're getting upset because it's like the job is over consuming you. You had that experience, I know, in the past with a previous company. Yep. So like, and I know other people that you try to have a personal life and that's constantly bombarding you. And it's just such an interesting phenomenon that's nothing new anymore, but it's the fact that everyone is dialed in all the time with, you know, an iPhone or 2 iPhones, or, you know, you have to have your earbud in all the time. I see that all the time coming in like the shop.
I cannot live like that, bro.
I mean, I see people coming into like the shop. I see them out, you know, out in public at restaurants or whatever it is, and they've got their earbud in all the time just because they know call's coming.
Right.
You know, it's like they just know it's coming, and it's like just to be on call or on alert all the time with a job. It's like, yes, that pays the bill. Some people really get off on that and really enjoy it, but it's like a lot of other people, like you will burn yourself out because now all of a sudden you can't even have a normal life.
Right.
You can't have any hobbies. You can't, you go to whiskey and cigars in general, because I can smoke a cigar and actually take calls and it won't affect, you know, obviously, but you can't have the social aspect. You can't, if you're the guy, you know, like, and this is the podcast, but like, you know, Sean, especially, you know, trying to work, he'll like step out several times, and you knew walking in with that. But if that's happening when you just want to go out to dinner, you can't do that. You can't go to a concert like that Tyler's talking about.
Right. Yeah.
Like, where does that, I mean, that's tough. That's where I'm saying, like,
right. Yeah.
Same thing. Is there more in life than work? I mean, same question. I mean, that's kind of
right,
where
it's kind
I
of
put that description in there, is that it's like, obviously, how do you manage those expectations of not only yourself, you know, what do you expect out of yourself? What do you expect out of an employer? What do you expect out of your family or significant other and friends? You know, that's just such a really tough thing to navigate, in my opinion.
And in my case, like I'm a single guy.
Sure.
You know, I don't have pets. I don't have, you know, it's easy for me to, you know, keep living like that cigar culture, you know, on the weekends and stuff like that. But that's also like in our business, like the cigar scene is almost our, you know, that's our getaway too at the same time. Like the people we've met through it, the people we hang out with it during the week. Those are the same people who are texting like, hey, you want to go catch this game on the weekend, or you want to, you know, do this, that, you'll have to get dinner, you know, go get a couple cocktails somewhere. You know, that's, you know, when you're part of like the cigar, you know, industry and the culture and the family of it, you almost, you know, you're almost just absorbed into that.
You are
lifestyle as a whole. And, you know, that's the beautiful thing about doing what you loving what you do for a living.
Correct.
Well, and in that case, you know, you're like, yeah, I mean, yeah, am I technically working? No, but I'm kind of still around work type stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm not really working.
So
on the weekends, that's why I'm
so that's something that I learned you know, back in the day when I was a rep. You know, work-life balance got way out of whack because I was on the road, you know, Monday through Friday, just like Tyler is. And then on Saturday, my wife and I would wake up and she's like, hey, what do you want to do? It's like, hey, let's go to Easton. So she would walk around and she would shop. She'd go to Easton. I would literally bring in both of my cooladors into the tinderbox and put them, you know, in the locker room. And I would just sit, hang out, smoke with the staff. just hang out with the customers. But then, some of the staff, oh, by the way, hey, we got our rep, our cigar rep from this brand. He's hanging out here today. If you want to ask him any questions about the brand, or maybe he'll give you a cigar. That's because I had a passion for the industry, and I absolutely loved the job I was doing. And 2, I wanted to succeed in that job. I wanted to build relationships with different accounts. And so I was doing whatever I could to be able to improve those relationships in order to be able to, maintain a career and a paycheck. And, eventually it didn't work out, but for completely other reasons. And then, fast forward to my life now, it's funny, the memories on Facebook. It was a year ago today that my wife and I first moved into where, our first moving day of where we live now.
It's a year ago?
It's been a year.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's been a year. And where we live now has a great covered 3 seasons room on the back patio. And when we first moved in there were a lot of nights early on.
You're not bragging.
Yeah, no one likes to brag.
He went to be testy to bragging now.
No,
no, Jesus, bro.
No.
Balance it, bro.
No, there were a lot of nights early on where
here we go.
I wanted to take advantage of having that patio. So like, even as long as it was warm, even if it was raining, I could still sit outside and smoke a cigar and have a glass. I did that the first few nights. And then very quickly I realized, I was like, you know what? I can't spend every night here.
Someone's learning.
Because those first few nights I was on the back patio having cigars, because still working from home. All I had to do was get up at 8:30 in the morning and go down to the computer. I didn't have to do anything to get ready for work. So it wasn't an issue for me to sit out on the back patio, smoking cigars, drinking whiskey till 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and then get up at 8.
Issue.
I have an issue with it, but I realized myself, without anything being said to me externally, hey, I might want to go inside and spend some nights with my wife.
Right.
Sit down, watch TV, watch a movie, have dinner together.
See, I would just be sitting out in the fucking room just by myself, just chilling.
Because you're by yourself.
Right,
I get it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I get it. Yes.
Turn off that mic, please.
Oh,
turn it off.
Thank God his mic wasn't
on.
on.
Pride picked up a little bit.
But no, and then
good God.
with my new position, when I first started, obviously, I want to make an impression. I want to do the things I'm supposed to do. So, I spent some time reading and studying on the industry that I'm involved in. When I came into the industry, I was like, I know a lot about whiskey. I know a little bit about other spirits. We have a humidor there. I've taken that over and absolutely exceeded expectations with that so far. It's the wine side that I really need to learn, because that's where most of our business comes from.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've got a couple books that I study and that I read, but I do that in portions. Like, I don't just sit there and spend 5 hours a night, as soon as I get home until the time I go to bed, reading wine books.
Yeah.
Right.
Part of the reason
I drink wine instead.
I drink wine instead. Absolutely. There's no
hands-on research.
There's no better teacher than hands-on research. Absolutely.
Who the fuck would buy Camus for $100 a bottle when you got Bonanza, bro? I mean,
for 22.
For 22, bro.
Exactly.
It's the biggest steal in the fucking wine game, bro.
We sell a shit ton of both.
Dude, I buy Bonanza all the time. I love that stuff.
But it's interesting because in my short time there,
it's a baby Camus.
My boss, I've heard my boss, hint at the idea that a year or two from now he's going to retire and move to Europe, because he's got one kid that lives in Portugal, and his other kid and grandson are in Amsterdam. They just moved. They just moved to Amsterdam from
what people do in Amsterdam. Right?
They just moved to Amsterdam from Japan.
Oh,
yeah.
So is that stuff legal in Japan?
What stuff?
I think you know.
All right. Anyway, but there's so many days. There's so many days where, I hear my boss and he's like, "Yeah, last night, I left here, 5 o'clock in the morning, went home and did 5 hours of work."
Yeah.
Or he gets up early in the morning and does a bunch of emails, does a bunch of other work, then comes in, works in the store, and he's always doing work, and then he goes home and he does more work.
Right.
And then he also talks about when he retires in a couple years, like someone's going to have to be able to take over his role. And there's obviously a few people in the department that are lined up to be able to do that.
Right.
But I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, who's going to want to, like, it's one thing to do the job when you see the job in the shop. It's another thing, like all the behind the scenes stuff at home, like him spending 4 or 5 hours writing emails and doing all this other stuff and doing schedules and coming up with dinners and events and all this. Like, how many people are going to take that, actually see that that's part of the job and are going to want to take that on?
Yeah.
Because sometimes you get into a job or a career that you really enjoy and you have a passion for, and you don't fully understand what all's going to go into it.
You're absolutely right with that, and that's cool to hear that there's that future potential there. I look at it as, especially if you're like, that's a store that you guys work for, a company that you work for. That is something I think that has to change if you're not going to burn someone out, if you're going to have success with that. As me, no, not as a business owner, but if you are the business owner, you do have to set your own parameters with that as well and manage your own expectations. The fact that you're putting in that many hours at a place, and then you're putting in, if it's on average 5 hours at home doing emails, something needs to change, because that's not effective. I don't think that's smart. That's not smart business. I mean, that's a way, like, maybe you do need to find a way to hire a part-timer to do some of the other stuff that you do in the shop, or like your position that was created, Nate. I think that was a step towards that. But I think if you go into that, it's like you're going to have a hard time filling that with someone that is, I think, successful if you truly expect someone to be on call pretty much, or working 18 to 20 hours a day that doesn't own the business. Because unless you can compensate for that, that's not, in my opinion, acceptable. There is no work-life balance. You're not managing expectations. Your expectations are you can have a personal life or sleep if you find time. That's not healthy. I'm not for, someone that's for like the 4-day work week, no matter what, or, we can all work from home and all that stuff. But it's
Right.
There's got to be something there that you can actually get ahead of it in some point. You can't necessarily be someone in a higher end position and expect your employees to you can't be a business owner and expect your employees to work like you would, unless you're doing it. That's one thing. If that's what you do all the time and you're putting that many hours and you do that, but if you're not putting in those hours and you just kind of come and go as you please, or if you when you think of something, you reach out and you expect that person to be there all the time based on no one's a mind reader on that stuff. But if you are doing something like you were just describing to me, Nate, I'm not saying that it's necessarily an option, but my first thing, if I was like brought in as a consultant, be like, so that guy's going to leave soon because you don't give him any support and you're not paying him enough to do what he's doing. You should not be working 5 hours at home if you're already putting 50 or 60 hours, 5 hours a day or whatever it is, when you're already putting 50, 60 hours a week in the actual job. It's not. I mean, unless you're going to pay for that, if you break that down hourly, it's probably insulting, I would imagine, even though he probably does okay if he's retiring soon. But I'm just saying, that's not, there are different industries, like Sean and other people I know, that they have to kind of work with people that are all over the country, maybe other countries as well. So the time zone thing is different, but there has to be some sort of realization that, it's like, how can you schedule a date night, a dinner? How can you go to your kid's ball game? How can you do it? You have, like, if you can't, because that's when you're working, that's one thing. But if you have to, like, literally, like, hey, we have to take care of something because I just thought of something and I need you to write an email, and you're just like, I'm at a concert right now. Like, I had it in my calendar.
Or I'm at a movie theater watching
whatever it might be, you know what I mean?
Or whatever.
But to have that expectation there all the time, I mean, there is more in life than work. And I think that you do need to somehow navigate through that with the expectations from the powers that be, that, you know what, like, I would love to do this job, but we need to restructure this to a point. I need to have my own time that I'm not available unless it's an absolute emergency. You forgetting to place an order and now you're expecting me to drop everything I can do just to place that order. Or if you're, you've got to, someone came back, hey, like to Tyler's thing, like, hey, this person really wants to place an order. It's like, if they place it at 8 a.m. tomorrow, if I put it in at 8 a.m. tomorrow, as opposed to at like 9 o'clock at night because they're leaving their shop and they thought about it, and then now they're upset that you're not available at 9 o'clock at night, we need to set those parameters.
Right. Yeah.
And that should be a conversation and say, like, look.
And I mean, even if they give me the order at 9 p.m. at night, there's no one in the office receiving that order. So until like probably 8 or 9 in the morning the next day. So it doesn't make a difference whether I put it in that night or not.
Email it to me. I'll send it to you.
Right. Yeah. Just send me an email. I'll put it in, or a text message. I'll put it in first thing in the morning.
If you need to be available, and that's what I mean, everyone's got like I don't have necessarily a work phone, but I have the work email, I have the social media, and then people have my personal cell phone for basically my contact, like Tyler has, if he needs to get a hold of, me and Brian. Okay, Sean works in air traffic control and all, like, that kind of industry, like, like that can be an emergency if someone is stranded or whatever. We need to get a plane up and all that stuff. Like, yes, that's an exception. You're a brain surgeon or whatever. Cool. Yeah, that's part of the gig, right?
Yeah.
But on top of that, though, you have other brain surgeons that, unless you staff it, hopefully accordingly, that you don't necessarily be on call 24/7.
Right.
You have your shifts. Firefighters are a great example of that. If there's a fire, you don't just go home. You're like, oh, I got to go again. It's like, no, you have your 24-hour shift, and then someone else has a 24-hour shift.
Right. Yeah.
And you staff hopefully accordingly, which is tougher these days. But I just look at it as there's got to be this balance where it's, just because you think of something or someone above you is wired a certain way that they're like, once it hits their, like, say they're working late and they just automatically expect everyone else to be on their schedule. Like, it's like 11 p.m. where they are. They're finally going through the emails and all that stuff. They send it out and they're like, they didn't respond to me. Well, no shit. They're probably asleep right now.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, there's got to be some sort of way to navigate through this and communicate through that and say, hey, I wasn't awake when you texted me about that thought you had last night. And if they like make the person feel bad about it, you're like, okay, so I need it, like, and he almost, I don't know, like this, it's oversimplifying it. And I know that I'm talking about some people in different levels of positions and all that stuff, but that is not that hard to say. It's like, okay, just so I'm clear, what hours of the day would you like me to be awake so that I can respond to you? Like, I need to be able to like just set my alarms in my life and everything else. And, just, I would like to, like, not being sarcastic, but if you can actually be genuine, like, just so we don't miss again, like, what are your expectations from me?
Like, hey, I would love to continue this conversation, but it's 1 a.m. and I'm lying in bed right now. So,
right. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, you can do that. I don't know. I mean, it's always different, and there's always different expectations. You get fired for doing that, I'm sure, but it's like, it's a tough thing to navigate. I mean, that's where this topic is. Obviously, with this podcast, it's Whiskey and Cigars, and we talk about life after that. Is there more in life than whiskey and cigars? The whole point of that is that there's one thing about that. And Ray says, add that working globally when people are awake, when you're sleeping. Absolutely. People need to not respect it. They need to just acknowledge the fact that not everyone's on their schedule.
Right.
Like, that's a great example. You're global, right? So when Ray and I are even like putting together one of his orders, or like, we have a window. When I wake up, he's going to bed. When, vice versa, when I'm going to bed, he's waking up. So it's like middle of the day, if I'm like trying to do something like that, as he is at that point a customer of mine, and it's like, hey man, I have something to verify. It's 4 p.m. my time. I know he's not going to respond.
Right. Yeah.
I would love to call him, so just wake him up in the middle of the night so I can get it answered. But it's like, to get the deal done, it might take 3 days to get through the communication because we're on different timelines. You know what I mean? And I feel like there's too many people that don't acknowledge that as a thing, that people are on different schedules. They have different responsibilities.
I remember when one of the Tinderbox employees recently texted the entire staff at 4 a.m. that they were sick. And I was like, because all of a sudden my phone dinged and I was like, what the, oh God, no, not this again. Like, and
so
I
just called someone else. The nerve of this guy.
Well, I sat there and I was like, it's 4 o'clock. I was like, it's 4 o'clock in the fucking morning. I don't think I responded, but then they responded. They sent it back at like 7 a.m.
That's a little bit more.
And then I actually responded to it, but I was like, for fuck's sake, it's 4 a.m.
Like, I get-
Why are you sending this now and waking everybody up?
I only do that when I'm drinking.
right.
That's not the employees talking about.
Like,
Well, but Jess told me that she had a coworker when she worked in a lab at Ohio State, and he was an Indian guy, and he would text people at like 2 or 3 in the morning.
Lived in India.
No, that's where he was from.
Okay.
But
Just don't know where we're going after the Somali comments last week.
oh Jesus! But
oh, so this is a trend. This shit that's been happening.
No.
Remember that?
no, it is not. Shut up.
So this guy's on a roll right now. He's on a bender for fucking.
Nah, he's just the no filter, which is it's not always what it seems. It's very
That
literal.
is the information I'm going off of on my phone. But no, just because
Their lawn looked like shit.
that person's personality was one of those, like, if something's an issue, you bring it up right away. Doesn't matter what time of day it is. And so if something was on his mind, he would text the entire group at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And everyone else is like, dude, knock it off.
So I will say that might be something that's either cultural or whatever it might be. Is that I
Sometimes
feel
he was
like-
in India, apparently.
Okay, thank you, Jess. I feel like there's sometimes I look at it, and I think other people might look at it is like I put a sleep timer on mine or whatever. Like so, like during the week, I think it's 11 o'clock. Mine goes into sleep mode,
Oh, yeah, I've seen that. I've been like, oh, you should text Steve, and I'm like, oh wait, he's on sleep mode right
and
now.
then I respond usually.
Yeah.
No, but it goes in
Wait,
sleep
there's
mode.
sleep mode?
Yeah, you can goes into do not disturb. My point is that I feel like texting originally, it's like I can send a text knowing that you're not going to respond, but you'll get it when you wake up, you get out of your meeting, whatever it might be. But it's like I'm not. If I'd call you otherwise, but I'm going to send you a text. You respond whenever. Texting has evolved, I feel like, in personal life and especially business life. It's not the email anymore because email, it's like, oh, you didn't respond to my email. Now, everyone professionally, I feel like typically will text, or now they have the Teams or whatever it is, like the meetings. And so it's like you're always like running in the background. So it's like, did you not see my message? I'm like, no, I was sleeping, or no, I was on a call. I was busy, whatever it might be. You know what I mean?
I heard the ding, but I was on a phone call.
Yeah, I didn't drop everything I did just because my phone made a thing. I thought it was like a fucking MLB alert or something like that. You know what I mean? It's again, it's managing those expectations of what is acceptable, and really, again, what is expected of the relationship and the life balance there.
Right. I mean, I got friends, all over Indianapolis, right? And I got my South Side guys, and they were like, "Oh man, you don't come in on Sundays anymore or whatever to hang out, shoot the shit or whatever." I'm like, guys, I love you all to death. Cass, who commented earlier, is one of them. Corey Davis, Josh Howard, those guys, everybody on like South Side Cigar, right? It's kind of like my Sunday hangout for a little bit. And then I got to a point where I'm like, bro, on the weekends, if I don't have events or anything like that, the last thing I want to do is look at my car. And I don't leave downtown Indianapolis. I walk everywhere. I don't get in my car to go anywhere in downtown.
Right.
But because I just don't want to look at my car because I'm in it enough during the week and shit like that. I'm just trying to find that balance. Now I might be doing cigar shit downtown, but I'm like, dude, sorry. I'm at some point, I'll get that motivation again, maybe to come back out on Sundays and hang out and everything. And it's nothing against you guys. I just got to find that balance, bro.
Yeah.
And that's a big key right there.
There's a couple comments here about that whole thing.
Good God, we got some paragraphs on that.
Here we go.
There we go.
So starting off with Tim Dodge there, I got a text message at 9 a.m. Didn't read it until after 4 p.m. Side note for those people out there that if you don't want to do this, and this is not anything bad or good, sometimes if you get a text from someone, if you have the red receipts on there,
right,
and it says red, that will frustrate people because they know you read it. I will say this from personal experience, from professionally, and also, if I had that on or I see it, I do kind of expect that. And I also know from my side of things is that you can actually read something or click on it, or I got my Apple Watch and I click on it real quick, middle of something. I just want to see if it's urgent. But it's like some of these things, if you do what Tim's describing here, got it at 9 a.m., didn't respond, didn't read it until 4 p.m., you got to set boundaries or people will crap on you. It's the American way. That's a weird term.
That's an aggressive way to rest of America.
But I think that's why we're at where we're at, is that, people do expect you, once you read it, they expect a response right away.
Right. Yeah.
And that's not always the case there. Especially from a professional standpoint, that's something that you have to watch too. Sometimes you do need to think, and sometimes you can respond with something where it's just like, hey, got your message, middle of something, I'm going to get back to you. I like the iPhone, if you ignore a call, you can actually message back, I'll call you back later. Or you have those
that's awesome.
That's fantastic.
And it's takes
still going to piss some people off, sadly, but
wow.
Ray says texting through the night is okay. Why would you feel it necessary to answer a text at the point at which it arrives? See, that's a different mentality. I text people all over the world. He's in Vietnam, and never consider what time it is with them. My expectation is they'll get to it when their day starts. I'd be interested with Ray, like where he's at right now, retired in a different country. It's interesting. I do think that unless it was super pressing, he probably had that mentality also when he was working globally in the business sense. Now, if too much time goes by, it's like, then you did you read my email? Like, did you read my text? Like, I know you've been up for 5 hours now. Like, are we going to talk about this?
Right.
That is something.
Well, then with the email, they have that feature where some people can attach to their email a read receipt, where the responding party actually
that's what I was saying,
clicks like a receipt that yes, they got it, and that was always fucking annoying.
Now you have that on your iPhone. That's what I'm saying.
I know the iPhone, but this was like from when I worked for AEP, most of the emails that I got, AEP, American Electric Power.
Okay.
The emails that had the read receipt, where it's like, hey, this person's requesting a read receipt, click yes or no. I'm like,
such a passive power move.
And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at this email going, this has nothing to fucking do with me. No, I'm not. But then I also got to the point where I'm like, you know what? I'm going to click yes, just so it sends you an email that says I read it, just so it floods your fucking inbox with a useless email, just like the one you just sent me.
That was a big Air Force thing. Like when I was in the Air Force, whenever we got emails. Whenever we got emails in the Air Force, there was always like a red receipt on it. Like, did you get this or whatever? And it was always the dumbest shit or whatever.
It's to confirm the paper trail. If you're
right. Yeah. Just to cover your ass type deal.
Like, well, it was CYA.
Yeah. Like, oh, well, you like if it was some new ruling or something like that, some new code that you had to follow or obey, and you clicked like, I read the receipt, but you just like glanced over it, you didn't even read it or whatever. And then they catch you like doing something wrong. Like, well, when we sent the email, you said you read we got a red receipt from you, so you obviously understood, right? What you were, that this new rule chick came into effect, and you're like, well, I want to be like, sir, no one reads your fucking emails, bro.
I used to love the thing, and no one used it enough. I think, at least the companies I worked for, the company I worked for was the NRN at the end of an email. No reply necessary. I used to use that at the end of emails, and then I get an email back. What does NRN mean? I'm like, no reply necessary. Just to train people, like, I'm going to send you this.
Shout out Hector Alfonso. He is watching right now.
What up, Hector?
My man.
Look at Tyler sounding official. Yeah, well, you didn't listen earlier. No, I'm just kidding. You're tuning in late there.
He's been on the whole time.
He missed the good stuff. He missed the good stuff.
Now, I like what Mike says here. My rule is, if it's absolutely urgent, call. If it's important and can wait, then text. I don't think enough people follow that, honestly. Even people that are just I feel like biting at the bit, they're still going to text you because they're in the middle of fucking something. That's the irony of it all. They're in the middle of something. They're like, I'm too busy to call right now because I'm at my kid's game. I'm doing this. I'm doing whatever. I'm too busy to actually talk to you, but I'm going to text you. But I just want to keep this going in the background. And the fact you didn't text me back or call me, now you're insulting me and my time. You're like, listen to yourself. Look around. Look in the fucking mirror. it's crazy.
The one that always drives me nuts is if I'm driving somewhere and I get a text. Obviously, I'm not going to text and drive, but I will call that person while I'm driving. And so it's like, oh, my phone goes off. Someone's texting me. Call that person. And it just rings and rings and rings and goes to voicemail. I'm like, oh, you literally just sent me a text and you're like
too busy. Yeah, you're not in the like. I
can't text you back, but like I can call you and talk to you that way because I'm not texting while I'm driving. But like I just got a text from you and you're not picking up. Like your phone should be right there. Like you're texting me because you want me to respond to something. Your phone should be right there next to you, and I call you and
I mean, if that's during normal business hours.
Scratch that. We'll edit that out.
Edit that one
I'm
out.
not gonna edit that out.
That was the bourbon talking right there.
Hey, Cigar Hustler in the house. Steven is, what's his nickname?
Boots. What up, bro?
What's up, Boots?
Boots Industry.
Bootsy Collins. What?
He knows a guy named Phil Jones. Very familiar with him. He's the camera guy for the crew.
Oh,
yeah.
So who's Phil Jones? Name dropping over here. The cameraman for the crew. All the guys I knew with the crew are all gone.
They're the best.
Duncan Otten was on here from the crew at one point. That was a great, great episode. He's a great dude.
Yeah, I was here the one episode he was here.
Duncan?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, Duncan's good people.
He is good
I think
people.
he follows me on Instagram.
Oh,
Is he still doing the agent stuff?
Yeah.
Nice. Is it going good for him?
Apparently. I haven't seen him since I went to his, I think it was his 50th birthday party where he made all the guys wear dresses.
Did you have to wear one too?
That's a bold move.
I didn't have to.
It's a bold move, Cotton.
I put one on over my shirt and jeans. One of Kristen's dresses.
Wait,
there's a picture out there, but
you fit in one of those?
It was like an oversized, like cover up type of a dress.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
what are you trying to say about Kristen? She'll listen to this later. Go
no,
ahead.
I'm saying that you are much.
See, he's on a roll, bro. We need to cut him off, man.
I'm saying that, Steve, you are much larger than Kristen is.
That's fair.
That's what I'm saying.
He's had too much.
I want to give it
Give
back.
Me back that fucking.
Give it back. I want to see where this goes.
See how much of a hole this guy can dig himself.
Yeah. Nate's like, I saw you had a cookout. Yeah. Yeah, we did. Oh,
I'd get it.
Kristen was there.
All right.
Jesus.
That means all the rosé I've been saving up for
All
when you guys
right.
come over.
Let's
I'll be
not
drinking.
start a war here.
Oh, there we go. You drink rosé.
Kristen does.
Oh, nice. I like rosé.
Been drinking a lot more wine lately.
Yeah.
There is more to life than whiskey and cigars. I enjoy
a little wine, music.
That's right.
Sports.
Yeah. Sex. Thank you, Sean.
Hopefully with someone else. I mean,
that's optional.
Turn his mic back on. Let's hear this. Jeez.
Shit.
So
sounds about right.
So Sean disappears for 10 minutes.
Let's,
why?
God damn, I gotta lock that door.
You found that snake again, huh?
Not sure where we got here. How we got here.
Yeah, that's official.
We have, Ray says focus.
Focus.
That seems right. All right, let's go back to the literal one. Let's take it back a notch. Let's kind of roll out. Unless you guys want to keep talking deep on this, I feel like we did.
We got the deepness out of it.
I think we got a lot about this. I think a lot of it is, as always, communication. It's when you find yourself trying to manage expectations or figure out what the expectations are from others for you. It's asking. It's talking about it.
Right. Yeah.
It hopefully it's going to start sometimes, I think, with frustration. Whether you're expecting something different or more from someone else, whether it's an employee, whether it's an employer, whether it's going to be your significant other, a family member, a friend, or whatever. If you don't, no one's a mind reader. So if you don't express what you're expecting on a regular basis, or at least an outline of like, hey, I need this from you. This is what I'm looking for you. Will you be able to do that? It's easier said than done. And on the other side of it, if you're expecting more from yourself, you need to be able to like look in the mirror and really put yourself out there.
Don't go chasing waterfalls.
Thank you. That's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. And, you know, let's call the episode. Let's
No.
I'm
just saying.
The closing remarks.
I'm just saying. Don't go chasing.
Sometimes you got to creep.
Nobody says creep when they're not quoting TLC.
I thought we got all that out before we went live.
Sometimes you do.
Rest in peace, Ray Stevenson.
Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah.
And Tina Turner.
And Tina Turner. We're losing too many now.
And Left Eye.
Bruce Willis?
Not yet.
No.
Not yet.
Jesus, not yet.
What?
That's what he said. I mean, I'm just saying, good God.
Once again. let's go back. Let's round this out here with a little bit more, and we can go back to some serious stuff for the closing remarks. But while we have people listening, we're having a good time here. And do shout out to again Steven, right? From
Yeah,
that's nice.
Boots.
From Boots for tuning in. That's awesome. But yeah, more to life than whiskey and cigars. Nate, you were talking about it with you traveling, and then you come back and you smoke cigars. You were talking about concerts. I don't want to say that I'm less of a cigar enthusiast or a whiskey enthusiast, but I think I've kind of at the moment kind of gotten over the hump there where it's like I can go. Back in the day, I used to I only want to go to outdoor concerts. I'm going to bring cigars. I'm going to smoke even though no one else is smoking. If I go on a vacation, I'm going to smoke even though no one's smoking, as long as it's allowed. Come home, smoke in my garage, smoke on the patio, whatever it might be. I don't find the urge as much to do that. Like I do. I mean, I'm in the industry. So today at the shop, I did smoke a lot of cigars for my normal. Normally I average like 1 or 2 in the shop, depending on the shift.
Yeah.
Today I had 3 or 4. Then we smoked 2 tonight. I know I used to smoke in the car all the time. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I find myself anymore just more practical. If I'm not going to smoke the whole cigar, if I'm not feeling it, or if I got to be running in and out, you know what I mean? I used to smoke on the way to the fucking gym.
Right.
You know what I mean? I get out of the gym, I go out, and it wasn't I was addicted. It was just like, oh, this is my lifestyle.
I used to look
This
for an
is what I
excuse
do.
to smoke a cigar.
This is
Right.
what I do.
I mean, fuck, I look for any reason to smoke a cigar. I mean, at this point in my life, that's how I do it. But at the same time, if it's, I mean, you find the stuff to get you away from that for just, even if it's a couple hours or whatever.
Well, yeah, I mean, even like what Nate was saying, where he'd go out of the back patio. It's like, when Kristen's over or whatever, even now it's nice out. She's like, do you want to go out in the patio? I'll sit with you, and she'll, have a glass of wine or whatever. And I'll have wine or whiskey or just smoke a cigar. And there's been plenty of times like, nah, I think I'm good. Like, she's like, you want to just like sit and watch like a show or talk? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Let's do that instead. You know what I mean? But it's more because I feel like I want to do that when I want to do it. It's not necessarily, it's still a part of my identity, but I think there is more in life than that. Like when we went down to the trip in Mexico recently, I still packed like 30, 40 cigars for the week. I smoked like 5 because no one else was smoking at the pool.
Right.
No one else, like my buddy Spencer and I, we smoked before dinner a few of the nights, after dinner, at the end. I smoked a couple on my patio the balcony at the room, but it wasn't like there was, I think, a time, and I think this is something where it's a little bit more literal with there's more in life than whiskey and cigars. Going out to the pool on vacation, normally I'd be like, all right, which cigars am I going to take out to the pool? Didn't do that this time.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't think that's right or wrong or anything like that. It's just like, I'm good. I can smoke cigars whenever I want.
Right. Yeah.
I can sip on, Wednesday nights, we at least do that. And a lot of nights I'll have a couple drinks or whatever, or a glass of wine or a glass of whiskey, or sometimes it'll be more than that. But I think I'm getting to the point where I want to do it because I want to do it, as opposed to this is what I do. And I think sometimes with hobbies, whether it be whiskey or cigars, the gym, that's on my end. If you're into certain hobbies, trying to think of
what would you say is your go-to hobby when when it's not like anything work related or just outside the whiskey cigars realm? What's your go-to thing where you're just like, boom, this is my next thing I want to do?
As far as what I want to do, that's what I'm kind of getting at in my own head, is that it's like
spend time with Kristen,
go out, go. It's very like the suburban lifestyle. It's not about going out I'm gonna go hiking, I'm gonna do it. It's joy going out to dinner, hanging out with friends,
barbecue outside, have some
barbecue,
over,
NFL Sundays. I love that.
Right,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And used to be where I'd again going back to that, where it's,
and as people, we got to appreciate that little shit, right?
You have to appreciate it, but at the same time, it used to be, it's like, I want to go watch NFL Sunday, but I need a patio so I can smoke cigars while I watch it. And I'm going to sit. And sometimes I would sit out by myself doing that, you know what I mean? Where everyone else is inside watching, drinking. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go like watch that screen, you know, watch my game, smoking a cigar. If you guys want to come out, great. If not, you know, but I think it's gotten to the point in my life where I can enjoy either side of it.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting to me, and you guys can respond to this, is like with Kristen or like friends, it's like, hey, do you want to go outside and smoke a cigar? And I'd have some with me. I'm like, no, I'm good. It's not that I don't want to smoke a cigar, but it's like, unless everyone's going to move the party and we're sitting out there and other people are smoking, that's fine. But now it's like, I'm all right. Now, sometimes on the way home, I'll light up a cigar in the car and drive back home and, you know, finish it on the patio or in the garage or whatever, or take a drive. But even that anymore for me is more of a balanced thing.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and I think that's side note. It's for people that think that you're addicted to cigars. It's more of this social aspect.
Right. Yeah.
That's where I've been able to, in a sense, not that I needed to, but validate the fact that it's like, I enjoy spending time with people. Most of the people that I socialize, there's groups of it. Like you guys, you know, I love, like, if there's a cookout or if we're doing the podcast, you guys come in the shop, I'm smoking cigars. If we go out to a happy hour, or if I'm going out with some of Kristen's friends or someone else that no one else is smoking cigars, it's not that it's a weird thing. Like, there is more to life than that. It's like, I enjoy hanging out.
Right. Yeah.
And so if no one else is going to go out and smoke, I don't necessarily want to draw people out that don't want to go out to the patio and do that.
Right.
Nice day, we're all out there and someone's like, you can light a cigar. Now I'm a 50-50. You know, sometimes I'm like, all right, yeah, I'll light up a cigar.
Right.
Other times it's like, you know, I'm good. No one else is smoking. I don't want to, like, you know, maybe there's someone in the group or another table that doesn't like it. It's not that I don't care, or I mean, it's not that I care that someone's going to be like, hey, can you put that out? If I was smoking a cigar, I'm like, you know, go fuck yourself. I'm going to smoke a cigar.
Right. Yeah.
But on now, it's like, no, I got a couple here. You know, I'm good. I might smoke in a little bit.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I mean,
but that's changed for me. And I think a lot of listeners, a lot of cigar guys and girls will do the opposite. Like, they go out to smoke. They do that.
Right.
So
I've got to a point where I'm like, if I got friends that get off the shift, you know, they're bartenders at a restaurant or something in town, and they're like, hey, we're going to go to the Dugout. You know, it's like a dive bar in Indianapolis. Yeah. And, you know, I know they got patio. They have a patio or whatever. And, you know, I'm like, okay, I at least have that option if I really want to have a cigar or whatever. And, you know, they don't care if I'm smoking around them or whatever. They're not necessarily cigar smokers, but I can go have a cigar with them. But at the same time, I don't have to have a cigar with them. You know, I can, you know, just go with them, have some drinks, you know, laugh, you know, do whatever we're going to do for the night.
Yeah.
And then boom, that's a great night or whatever. I don't always feel like I have to have a cigar in my mouth. It's just, yeah, like you said, like socially, it's like if I'm hanging out at Burn, you know, shout out to Burn, Indianapolis, my man Bo out there, and everybody else.
Gorgeous spot.
Great spot. I mean, it's a great weekend hangout spot for sure. I mean, I fucking just love chilling there, and I get to people watch, you know, hang out with friends and stuff like that. And we're just like, even drinking wise, I'm a social drinker. Like, I don't drink at home, like when I'm by myself. Like, I just don't. It just does not. It's not as appealing to me unless I'm like out with friends and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, to each their own, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm not judging you for that. Fuck. I mean, I'm saying I'll have a drink at home, but that's on a rare occasion. I'm usually out and about, and I'm at like Burn, or I'm at one of my restaurant spots or whatever. Yeah, I'm gonna have a cocktail or two, and, you know, we're gonna have a good night. And that's just because it's just like everybody else is drinking, so I'm like, all right, I might as well have a drink too. So it's pretty much kind of like the same.
You enjoy the social side of it, yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Well,
And
I kind of equate what you said, Steve, about like if you went out
and then you do just a little too much, and everybody remembers. It's like, good God, you know, let that go.
Well, not you, but everyone else.
when you were talking about Steve about
what did I do? Holy shit, I did that last
Luckily,
night.
we recorded here.
Right.
Yeah. And I have to post the audio later. Go to the end of it. I'm like, yeah, right. I'm gonna post it. I don't want to, but
no, when you were
That
talking
keeps your authenticity.
that's right.
Right.
That's
100%.
when you were talking about like going out to a bar or whatever with a group of friends,
Mhm.
you know, to watch a game or whatever, and then you're like, you know what, I'm going to smoke out on the patio. And like, say you're the only one
Yeah.
going out and do that. In my mind, there's not a lot of difference between leaving that group to isolate yourself and go have a cigar versus like still being inside with that group, but spending the whole time like looking at your phone. Like there are couples that's like, hey, you want to you want to watch a movie or watch TV tonight, and you sit on the couch together and you're watching TV, but one or both parties are sitting there on scrolling through their phone or whatever. It's like, are you really spending time together, or are you just spending proximity together?
Yeah. I'm of the opinion that there is a difference with that, but I get what you're saying. Yeah, being in the moment, being with the other person. Yeah, obviously there's value there. I find myself, it's like if I'm so like talking about watching a movie or whatever, more times like with Kristen and I, like if we're watching a movie that I've seen that I want her to enjoy, and she might get a text or whatever, or vice versa if we've done it the other way. I'm not just
you're hitting pause.
Well, yeah, I look over and I'm like, you're gonna miss this. You're gonna what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like
you don't have to hit pause. Like no.
This is a big point in the movie. This is actually something you're gonna have to watch because it won't make sense later if you don't watch this. I get what you're saying, that not being present in that. I was just saying that with the hobbies that we have, other people have, it's there's got to be balance we use so much. I just think that that's something where it's like, if the person, and Ray said something really nice about
sometimes just sitting there staring at your phone, that's your hobby.
Yeah,
for some
sure.
people.
Is that Chase background on your phone?
It's Bond. Oh, the background.
No, the other side dipshit.
The wallpaper. It's
no,
Bond.
that's
Is that not Bond?
No, that is from
Looks like the Chase logo, right?
No, it's not Chase.
It does, actually. I thought it was the Bond one.
No,
James Bond.
Yeah,
no,
say it like that.
It's from the video game series Portal.
Oh, Portal.
Yeah, that's the Aperture Science logo.
Oh, okay.
Just no idea.
The cake is a lie.
Look at Sean. He looks so interested over there.
We're talking about wallpapers on phones at this point. Ray said something about the fact that he
can't find it.
No, it's back there a little bit, but he said something that was really cool. Is that he and Jane enjoy similar things. They smoke cigars, they drink whiskey. That is a common thing. So when they decompress together, they sit on their balcony, they go to a place, they enjoy food, and they enjoy going out.
Does that.
That's a good word, partner. Yeah. Like, that's fantastic.
That's why Steve's been drinking so much more wine lately, because that's Kristen's go-to.
And yes, absolutely.
And he likes it too.
I've always liked wine, but it is nice to be able to share that. But it is, again, it's something where I realize too, from personal level, is that I can hang out, drink wine a little longer because I drink whiskey like wine, and it's a little bit stronger.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, so that's the issue there.
Wine will still get you banged up, though.
It's different banged up.
Yeah, it's a different banged up for sure. You go through a bottle real quick.
Absolutely.
You definitely do.
The problem is when you drink half a bottle and then drink 4 glasses of whiskey.
Well, yeah, when you start mixing stuff, that's when the night gets a little foggy after.
But that's the thing. You always hear the wine or beer before liquor before beer. Where does wine fit in that equation?
I don't think it does. Exactly. I think you're supposed to just drink wine when you drink wine. You're not supposed to mix it with tequila. I'm a
1 and 1. You do 1 and 1. It's a 1 and 1.
I'm a creature of habit, not creature of habit, but it's like I'm an equal opportunity drinker.
It's really nice of you.
So
stand up.
I like
wine. It's got alcohol.
I like beer. I like tequila.
Sure.
I've been on a big tequila kick lately. Actually, I like rum. I like Irish whiskey. Unfortunately, when you mix all those during the night, your body kind of feels that at some point,
There's a great the comedian Jim Brewer. There's a great skit on that about the stomach where you're doing that. You gotta check that out. We'll watch that later. No, Ray actually made a great point here, and so I think this is a more to life than whiskey and cigars. Talking about work and all that stuff. He says, what I was saying earlier when I was talking. He says that's because you're more fulfilled in other ways. You have more important things to occupy your time. And I think that's as we grow, as we evolve, and you have your non-negotiables that may or may not change, but it's not necessarily the hobbies, the people that you're with, the people that you work with and stuff like that, everything involved is you have to have, I've said it before, I think that non-negotiables are so important. And sometimes that does, like if cigars and be able to smoke all the time take to the extreme on a personal level. If you say, as a single person, I'm not saying you do, Tyler, but anyone else out there, but I smoke in my house, or I smoke in my apartment, I smoke where I live. It's very uncommon, but it does happen. If someone else, if you're dating someone or you meet someone, you have to know what your non-negotiables are and why.
Right.
And I do think that goes into the workplace, is that you can have a little give and take as far as how much my personal time and schedule, like, and that goes back to what I was saying, is like, when do you need me available?
Right.
I'm not saying it's a hard stop, but in general, when do you need me to be available so that I can plan certain things in my life?
Mm-hmm.
That goes to, again, from a personal level, you know, do your work schedules line up? If they don't, okay, our work schedules are different. How do we make this work? What is important to you? What's important to me? When I get off of work and you're still working, am I upset about that?
Right.
That's a non-negotiable that you need to figure out. You know, I want this certain lifestyle. And I think it goes to the workplace as well. You know, whether you're working globally, locally, or somewhere in between, it's like, I need to be able to not take work home with me. And if you have to take work home with you and work on it, like you were talking about your supervisor, your boss, Nate, in that position, it's like, is 5 hours of working on emails, if you go into that position, if you get that offer or whatever, or someone's trying to hire for that kind of a job, for how long? Because there is a burnout period that we talked about, that, you know, being burnt out on that, is that everything else is second to your job. And how important is that, and for how long? You put your time in 4 or 5 years, whatever it is, depending on your age and where you're at in life. You got to do that so you can make the money or make the career advancements that you want to make, but at what sacrifice, based on not only other people in your life, but also, I think it's also your personal health and mental health. Is it, who are you at that point? You know, you're always on call. Are you being compensated enough for that?
Right. Yeah.
Like, when you break down your hourly compensation, is that worth it? Or would you just say, I'm going to work at McDonald's for 90 hours a week and I'll make the same amount of money? You got to think like that sometimes. And I think that's the communication, where you're managing those expectations, not only from yourself, like to that person, or that other party rather. It's are you asking the questions that will actually make them manage their expectations of you? And I think that's a tough conversation to have. And it's not an immediate one. That's not something like, hey, like, I oversimplified it. When do you need me available? It's like, when I need you. Okay, when is that? What are the breaking points? When are the cutoff times? I'm still going to be available, but do you expect me just to drop everything I'm doing from basically 7 a.m. to midnight? Because that doesn't work for me.
Right.
Or it won't work for me after 2 years. You know, Tyler being single and in your 20s still, right? Late 20s now. It's like, you can make that work for a little time.
26 on the 18th.
All right. So, but I mean, you can make it work if you wanted to for a little time.
Yeah.
But as soon as you hit that point, you meet someone, you want to like move forward in life, that's going to change. And if they say, well, you know, this is what we expect from that position, it's like, well, this is no longer for me.
Right.
You have to know those parameters. And, you know, again, going back to the topic, I made it relevant to this. You know, there was a time when I was working for my previous company, and I remember I got this promotion, and that person that was in that position before me, I was working, it was a 7-day week operation, right? And I was working, I think at the same time, similar schedule, Tuesday through Saturday. And I got that promotion, and I was super excited because that person worked Monday through Friday, daytime.
Right.
It was basically like 8 to 5, all that. That person got promoted, later got fired. We got promoted. I competed for that position as well at that time. I ended up getting it later. But at the time, I was pissed.
There you go.
There you go.
Here are your flowers, pal.
I also got fired later. Anyways.
Are you in that? Are we going to get
I was super excited because I'm like, I'm going to get a Monday through Friday schedule. I got hit that person's old position. And I brought it up. I'm like, all right, so am I now Monday through Friday? He's like, no, you're going to be same schedule as you were. Because that person has a 1-year-old and they need that schedule. And I remember being so not upset, but I was just like, you fucking kidding me? Right. So I need to have a kid to get a Monday through Friday schedule with this company. I need to go get a kid.
I feel like that's discriminatory to a certain degree.
But that was so frustrating. I'm like,
right.
no, that's not. That's
well, you could go the Brad Angelina route, adopt someone.
Luckily, I accept the retail schedule now. Okay. Now it's a different field, but I'm bringing up as a point that it was like those expectations were not made clear, and it very much frustrated me that it was like, that's not how you do this in a workplace based on personal life. I wasn't mad. That guy probably did deserve that, that he could be with his kid, but it was like, that's unfair. Like to your point, it's right, like, that's unfair. Like that's right. Not cool.
For sure.
All right. Close your remarks. Sean, you want to get in?
Yeah.
Unless you guys want to keep this rolling, but I think we're at that point.
No, 240. Jesus.
I think it goes just kind of based on the topic and everything. And kind of like I said earlier, it's and Tyler brought up right at the beginning, was like, it's all about balance. And I do a lot of things that I enjoy, not just like cigar and bourbon. I like to golf. And it's another one of those things where I don't do it often, but when I do it, I appreciate it. And a lot of the things for me too, with cigar and bourbon, I do some, I hang out by myself sometimes, do it, but with both this and like golf, for example, I would say 50% of it is the actual process of smoking and drinking or playing golf. The other 50% is time spent with certain people. Like who you spend time with is another 50%. So like when I come to the tinderbox, I love doing that. I have much more fun and more of a great time because I get to talk to my friends and build a camaraderie. And especially with tinderbox, I've met so many people and in the community. It's just amazing how many people that have come through that door who I've met, who like we may know other people, from each other, meeting this person. And I appreciate you guys running the tinderbox, giving us that opportunity to be able to spend time with people and enjoy it. And then that branches off into the Smoking 10 event and some other things. Yeah. You're always constantly.
The Bourbon and BS community has 1,700 members.
Right. So it's part of it's that, but mostly more than 50% to me is that time spent with friends and new people to meet. And I can't tell you how many people I've met and become friends with just in the last few years of being at the tinderbox and the Smoking 10 event.
Sure.
The hobbies become more fun when there's other people to share it with.
That's what
life in general too.
Yeah. And
cigar smoking's like sex. You could do it by yourself, but it's much better with company.
Yeah.
And in both cases, it depends on the
Espinosa shirt right there.
Yeah, and I think
that's a retailer.
And I think it also depends on the situation. Like for me, if I'm trying to decompress after a long day at work, I may just need some time to myself. But those times that are opportunities to give them where I can, come to the tinderbox and hang out, or have people over, or come to your house, Steve, on the patio, and just shoot shit.
That's what makes the cigar community just so like cool. I mean, it sounds cliche as fuck to say, but that's just what makes our industry so special, is because it's just a bunch of individuals that just want to get together, have a laugh, have a cocktail, have a cigar together, and just have an experience. And I mean, honestly, that's what's the most attractive thing to being a cigar guy. I mean, is just the people you're with when you're doing it and stuff like that. It just makes everything so much better.
I remember a great quote from Jose Blanco when I attended a cigar blending event with him. He had asked the question to the group, what's the one thing that will ruin a perfect cigar? And everyone kept saying issues with cigars. He goes, no, the cigar is perfect. What is the one thing that'll ruin a perfect cigar? Smoking it next to an asshole.
Right.
Oh, same answer as Tyler.
Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly what
I just had a different word for it.
Sean, while I have the microphone. So with the topic being, is there more in life than whiskey and cigars? Why do you enjoy whiskey and why do you enjoy cigars?
To me, it's just kind of what I just said. And also, it's in a way to escape sometimes, just to get away from it all.
Okay.
And I just, every time I leave either here or the tinderbox, I'm always just in a better mood. And like my wife, she likes to go on walks. That's her way to decompress. For me, it's golf and this stuff, and just to be in this chair over the years I've been in and have been on the show, of so many people in the industry that I met. It's just blows my mind. And so when I talk to people that aren't from around here and we're smoking cigars, I'm like, oh yeah, I've hung out with these guys and talked to them. And, I've talked to reps and I'm friends with them all. And to be able to share that with people that are kind of new and coming up on cigars that are just kind of starting out, I feel like I have a lot of, knowledge just because of being around you guys and learning about the different types of cigars, different types of bourbon flavors. I'm getting more of a palate now for everything. And so it's cool to be able to share that with other people. So.
Tyler, how about you?
Well, first off, I'd like to say thank you, Steven and Nathaniel, for having me. As usual, I think it's like my 7th or 8th time doing this podcast, and it's just as fun as the first time. Man. At least. Always love seeing you guys, and I love catching up with you guys whenever I get the chance, and I truly appreciate it 100%.
We do,
Hope you guys enjoyed the cigars in the bottle, of course.
Oh, man.
And Sean, same to you, my friend. It feels good to be back in the garage. I mean, it feels like it's been forever, but apparently it's been since October.
That's a long time, though.
It's actually a long time. I mean, I was on a good streak. It was like every 4 months type deal.
Well, pick up the pace.
Yeah, we will get back in the swing.
Sure.
Yeah, we got a lot of cool stuff coming out, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, I think the moral of this is, you got to find your balance. Mine, I mean, when I'm traveling, I got my music fucking cranking in my car. That's almost my exodus in between stops and stuff like that.
Are you smoking in the car or not always?
Of course,
Always.
In the car. Yeah. I mean, I fall asleep behind the wheel probably if I didn't.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I mean, it's just
shout out to cigars
keeping
the road safe.
Keeping the road safe.
Buckle up, everyone.
Buckle up.
Smoke
click it, no ticket, right? And is that what they used to say?
That's
what cool kids used to say. But no, it's yeah, everybody's got to have their outlet, and you gotta know what the outlet is, and you gotta know what the people around you are cool with and not cool with, and you just gotta do what makes you happy, and try not to let people tell you what to do. And yeah, I think that's the moral of it.
Nice.
Can I say one more thing?
No, your mic's off. Sorry.
Your mic's off.
Okay, I'm gonna just talk in anyway for pretend.
Your mic's on. Go ahead.
I just want to say something to you, Tyler.
Yes, sir.
When I first started hanging out with these guys, I first got to know you, and you were just you were still at Right Pat, right?
Yeah.
And you were just working a cigar shop. To watch you grow over the past few years from that to where you're at now, I'm really proud of you for that. I mean, you've come a long way. You worked your ass off. You just dove into this community and
double salesman of the year since I've been on here.
We're still waiting for Tyler to mature.
He's giving you a compliment. Don't throw out your awards. Jesus
saying,
Christ, that's tacky as shit.
I'm throwing out my.
He doesn't want to brag, but
do you want to
so
continue?
ADHD medicine may help you too. There, anyway.
Undiagnosed for sure.
No,
that has to be it.
So I have some, and it's amazing. Anyway, so I just want to say how happy I am for you and how proud I am of you for how you've come up in the industry and how big of an influence you are to many people,
awesome,
including
man.
myself. So thank you.
I appreciate that, bro. 100%.
Sean coming in with the
He's giving me flowers now. Look at that. Look at that.
I feel like it's starting to rain out there. You guys should go stand out there together. Nate, how about you?
His mic's off.
You went and ruined it.
I think the gist of what we're trying to get around is making time for other things other than just whiskey or cigars, but that is what we're using as the frame for this conversation because that's what our hobbies are.
Right. Yeah.
Other people have other hobbies. I think the difficult thing becomes when the hobbies bleed into everyday life, and it becomes even more difficult, I think, when a passion for your work, like your actual job that provides for you or your family, when that bleeds into your time away from work, because then it feels like you never stop working. There have been times throughout my various careers where I'll be hanging out with a group of people and if I'm meeting someone for the first time, they always ask that question like, oh, what do you do for a living? And you explain what you do, and someone who knows you but is watching this interaction unfold, like, I mean, they'll sit there and like, do you ever turn it off? Because they'll sit there and they'll talk, they'll hear you and watch you explain what it is you do, and they see an obvious passion for it. Like, even when I used to do door-to-door sales, I absolutely hated doing door-to-door sales. But when someone asked me what I did for a living, I told them what I did, and they're like, I don't get it. And I would literally go into the exact same spiel that I would do when I was on a porch talking to a customer.
Sure.
I was explaining it, and my wife is sitting there watching me, and she's like, you could sell ice to an Eskimo. That just that stereotypical thing. It's like, and it's not because, what I was selling was a good product or I was doing.
I thought you were about to say you were actually selling ice to an Eskimo.
I was selling electricity to people who already had fucking electricity.
Ketchup popsicle to an Eskimo in white gloves.
There you go. Yeah.
Tommy boy. Rest in peace.
Shout out Chris Farley.
Go ahead, Nate.
But it was more like other people, like, even though I didn't care for that job and that role, and I wanted to move out of that position as quickly as possible, when I explained it and I told people about it, like, there was an authenticity that could be witnessed about it. And whether I liked it or not, people would think that I absolutely loved what I was doing because of the way I would explain it, because I loved talking about it, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I think with whatever our industry is, here we are, three guys that sell cigars and, my case, add booze to it.
Right.
Like, when people ask you what you do, like, you become so passionate about it, that's all you want. That's all you talk about. So it's hard to separate the work from the personal life, because even more so when you have a passion for it. And I think that's when it becomes difficult to maintain that work-life balance or that hobby and life balance, because you can't necessarily sit there and spend all your non-work time doing what your hobby is, just like you can't spend all your time away from the office doing work stuff. That there's not a real balance. That's why, as I said earlier in part 2, a year ago when Jess and I moved into where we are now, I absolutely wanted to take advantage of having the covered, screened-in patio to be able to smoke cigars and drink whiskey till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. But very, very quickly, like 2-3 days in, I learned, without being told from someone else, like, I can't sit there and do this every night, because I'm in a situation where there's someone else living with me that I need to spend time with. There's someone else that is important to me that I need to show. Like, my wife should never think that she's competing with cigars and whiskey. She
Agreed.
should never feel like she's competing for time with my job.
Sure.
Now, my job's not a regular 9 to 5. I have different schedule. I have different hours 5 days a week. Sometimes there's actually 2 nights a week right now where when I get off work, like, she just showed up at work for her second job. I left my main job and she just showed up at her second job. So now I'm at home by myself for a few hours until she gets off of work.
Patio time.
So then, that's the thing.
There you go. That's finding
the
time. I'm not making light of it. That's where you
that's
figure
when
it
my
out.
time is. My time. Okay. I left work at 6 o'clock. She got to work at 5:30. I'm home. Now I can spend my patio time for cigars and whiskey while she's off at work, because I can't go and, hang out at her shop.
And isn't that true love? Like, isn't that true love when you find that person that you want to get home from work to go see
Absolutely.
and spend time with?
Yeah.
Like, essentially, that's what it is, right?
Yeah, I think you're on point there.
And then it kind of just happens on its own, where you separate the.
It takes work.
It takes work.
It takes work, like Nate was saying.
It takes work, but you end up fucking figuring it out.
Nate, anything else?
That's it.
I'll use my closing remarks to kind of explain it like this: is there more to life than whiskey and cigars? Why are we so passionate about whiskey and cigars? And also, why are we so annoyed with the whiskey people that all they do is try to wait in line and grab the tough ones to find? Why are we the people that are annoyed with? I'm not putting you guys in this. I'll speak for myself. Is it's not a deal breaker, but it's kind of annoying to have someone walk in a cigar shop or you smoke cigars with, and they only smoke Cubans. They know more than you about certain things, Espinosa products or whatever. It's like, yeah, no, that's not. It's like, I'm not going to brag that I could literally call Erik right now.
Or the fact that you have a cigar made by us.
Right. But it's
that you were a part of like the whole blending process.
I think we're looking at this also from the we're talking about the work life, home life balance, like all of that stuff is, I bring it back to what, I think, Nate, you were really hitting on the passion side of it with like you explaining things to people and the stuff that you do and why you do it and all that stuff, is that you have to bring it back to why you got into it. And I look at this in a scope of, there's too often that I think a lot of other people will either crack a bottle and they drink it and they make judgments of it, right? But they don't experience it. They think they do, but they're not. They're their own ego on this, right? You smoke a cigar and you give your opinions of it. But if you break it down, and it takes effort, just like relationships, personally or work wise, it's the value of what the experience is. Tyler, you brought the Knuckle Sandwich Connecticut and also the Murcielago. What did we do? We cut it, we lit it, we smoked it. There are a lot of like cigar podcasts out there where it's like they go through the whole ritual. And sometimes I don't like it when they bastardize it with sponsorships and stuff like that on podcasts or shows or all that stuff. But we all have those really good memories of being in a certain place. You see the cigar, you look at it, and you look at the foot of the cigar. You smell the foot of the cigar. You look at the wrapper leaf. You haven't even lit it yet. You haven't even cut it yet. And then you cut the cigar and you draw through it. You do the whole song and dance.
Right.
And then you light it. You make sure that you do it the right way. Whether you toast the foot or you make sure the flames off it as you're rotating the cigar in your mouth, and you're trying not to get too hot, and you're just trying to get those initial flavors. And you start smoking the cigar. And you're really enjoying this. No matter where you are, you're by yourself, you're with friends, you're not even having a conversation. This is just the experience of lighting that cigar and enjoying it. And you look at it and you smoke the cigar, and you get all the way to the end of it. And if you were able to put that effort in that and concentration into it and really enjoyment of that, that is a passionate way of enjoying an experience. Same thing with a bottle. We always joke about the cork pop. That is something that if you get a bottle that you really
romance.
It's romance. Absolutely. You look at the bottle. We describe it on the podcast. We talk about that. We do the cork pop. You do the pour. You talk about the bottle. You talk about the colors on it. You talk about the experience.
That yellow.
That yellow. It's got texture on the neck band on that thing. The shape of the bottle. These types of things get you into careers. They get you into relationships because everything was so important to you. Every little moment was so important to you, whether it be your hobby, whether it be your job, whether it be your relationship, these life experiences. And I look at these things, and I've been listening to you guys talk. We've been talking about this, and we've had fun tonight. We've had some serious moments, and I look at things as that if you need a reminder of what your balance is or what's important to you, is think about things. And I'm going to use the metaphor of a cigar, is remember those steps of truly experiencing things in life and what is important and why. Don't rush through things, because I do that with cigars. I do it with whiskey. I do it sometimes with day-to-day life. It's like I don't appreciate the fact that I can take care of a home that I own. I don't appreciate all the time mowing my lawn. I don't appreciate the fact that, my significant other and I spend time together, because life really comes at you and takes control of things. There is more in life than those things. But if I feel as though that when I'm smoking a cigar, sometimes it's like I might as well be lighting up a cigarette just to smoke.
Right.
And other times I have to force myself to look at the cigar, look at the band, look at the packaging, look at the cap, cut it the right way. I'm pissed if I don't cut it the right way, light it up the right way, and be able to really enjoy the moment. And that's the big thing about like cigars and whiskey. There is a lot more in life than cigars and whiskey, but I think there's a metaphor there, is that you can appreciate the first sip, you can appreciate the puff, you can appreciate the way that it grows on the palate.
You can appreciate the time you spent with someone else in the process of that as well.
Absolutely. And if you're not doing that and you're just spending time with someone, the reason you got into a career, we get burnt out because all we're doing is lighting a cigar and smoking and talking, and you didn't even think about the cigar.
Right. Yeah.
But if you're doing this and you really try to put that effort in there and your heart into it, I feel as though that if you're passionate about it and you really enjoy what you're doing in that job, in that relationship, in the hobby, you have to stay true to what got you into that. And sometimes you have to have a reset in that position of doing these things so that you can do your self-credit, and everyone else around you, that person, that job, even the cigar that someone made, that you don't just dog it. You don't just take it for granted. You truly dive in.
Yeah. And that's the cigar culture.
Absolutely.
And that's a cigar lifestyle right there
Guys,
in a nutshell.
Happy Whiskey Wednesday. Thank you guys
Thank you
for enjoying the night with us. Sean, thank you. All the listeners out there.
Buy Knuckle Sandwich Connecticut. Shameless plug.
I feel like I should just have loud noises behind that too.
And
Guys,
go back to Old Faithfuls like Mercy Lago, 601 Blue Laranja, all those. Enjoy. Thank you guys for having me.
Thanks, Tyler. Guys, cheers. We'll see you next week.